Good afternoon, morning, evening, whatever time it may be for you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the second and final day of this weekend of Gravity Break. My name is Acronator, and I'm joined by Legion as well as Larai on production. Legion, how you feeling for this finals day?
I'm feeling pretty good. We've had some pretty banger matches from yesterday, and of course, that is going to continue a lot into today. So I think I'm ready. Hopefully, everyone else is ready. We're getting to the end. We are in top 16, which means there are some pretty big prizes just over the horizon.
Certainly, and of course, those top two players are going to be fighting for free tickets into the top 64 of XP Evo in about a month, if my calendar is not mistaken.
Yep, should be.
Well, hopefully you know, Legion, because you're actually going to
Yeah.
be casting that event.
Okay. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes, like, I'll look at the calendar and I'll be like, okay, I have like a month, and then I'll look and I'll be like, oh, I'm leaving tomorrow. Okay.
Prepared as always. But yeah, we're going to
Yep.
be taking the schedule today a little bit more chill compared to yesterday. Less players to get through to knock out of the bracket. We're going to be going through each of the upper bracket semifinals first and foremost, and then we'll be hopping down to the lower bracket, I believe. Or hold on, actually, I have the schedule off on the side. We have. Let me just find it. That is the wrong channel. No, we're doing the both upper semis, then the upper finals, then we're going down to the lower bracket, and then eventually, over the course of the day, we'll get closer and closer to the grand final. Hopefully, things can happen, but probably not today, right? Either way, I just gave Nick a heart
Maybe.
attack.
Yeah, just a little bit. We like heart attacks here. No, we should. I think we should be fine. I don't think we're too worried about anything.
No, the second day of this kind of thing is always much easier. But the first semifinals match that we'll be covering, for those who are curious, we're going to be following match AC. If you're following along the ECM bracket, it's eLconn, Ratchet, Rodtrax, and Manta. So, we're going to be getting the chance to see some familiar names that we saw yesterday on stream. We're going to get the chance to see. I don't think we saw Manta at all yesterday. I know we saw Rodtrax and Ratchet as well.
No, we saw everybody but Mont. I believe. Yeah, I think so.
So he'll be making his debut here in the main broadcast, depending on if he showed up on any particular stream. First thing I see when I join the server is Manta saying hello. So the players are just getting ready. We're waiting for one more person. I believe we are waiting for Ratrax.
Yes. Yep. So once we have him in, we'll get things going. I guess while we have the time, Acronator, predictions for this match. I mean, we've looked at the. We looked at you and I, especially were looking after you had mentioned the world record. Somebody somewhere who we will be seeing later decided to wake up and just world record everything. But outside of that, you look at Panda, you look at Ratchet, eLconn, and Road Treks. Who do you think are the two most likely to make it through?
For this match, oh god, I think eLconn is a pretty safe bet. I want to say Ratchet, but the one time we saw him on stream yesterday, he looked a little bit cold, right? Like he eventually got there, but it was a much harder fight. So I could see someone like Rotrex steal that spot away. But I think if we're just going off of pure seeding, it's probably going to be Ratchet and eLconn.
Okay. I'd probably agree with eLconn, and then. Oh, I wanna say Ratchet as well. He's somebody we have seen in a lot of competitions do pretty well. Maybe there's just something with Gravity Break that's a little bit iffy with him. I'm not too sure, but if it wouldn't be Ratchet, then I would probably have to say Rotrex. I've seen him a little bit, and he's been impressive from what I've seen. So I'll say eLconn more than likely, and then I'll give it a toss up between Ratchet and Rotrex, and we can't really count out Manta. I think he might throw some spanners in the work.
Certainly. At this point, we're in the top 16. This is still the upper bracket as well, so I haven't done the math in my head, but these players are guaranteed pretty high placement, even if they lose out in this match here. They go down to the lower bracket, and they're guaranteed to get a little bit further than some of the other players already down in the lower bracket. Getting into the final warm-up now, about 30 seconds, and then we'll be starting on Goldilocks zone. For those who are not keeping up with the world records, Richie has the world record, I believe, as of this morning for him, afternoon for us, but it's a 107.555. So keep that in mind. Pretty much anything like a low 108 to high 107 is a really good time here. We're starting to get into that territory where Oh, we already saw a little bit of it yesterday where eLconn got very close to some world records in rounds. Haven't seen a live world, but who knows? If it's going to happen, I think it will be today.
I would hope so because I'm ready to see exactly what these players have in store, and we are underway here on Goldilocks Zone for the first round. Of course, we will be playing to 120 points as we did yesterday, and that'll be pretty much the consistent setup up until we get to grand finals where we'll bump the points up. But we had a touch early from eLconn, 2 touches, yeah, and Ratchet's falling down the order rather quickly, and those just keep piling on. So a new pack is formed. Manta's still in the lead, though, barely. Rotrex running behind. It's going to be... I don't know how to call this one. I know we made our predictions, but I mean, come on. If you want to be this close already, especially with Rotex and eLconn on your tail, we're in for quite the match, I'd say.
Certainly, and you can see Rotrex just a little ways behind Manta. eLconn slowly gaining. He is lessening that gap by the turn, it feels, but Manta's still holding strong in the front. He will get a clean last turn here. And as long as he doesn't have any reactor shenanigans, which his line looks clean. Yeah, it's a nice and easy first place. 108.1, that's pretty fast. Not the fastest time in the world, obviously, but that's a good pace right now. And I saw someone in chat earlier saying that Manta absolutely has the pace if he can find the consistency. Well, it's a good start so far. He's 1 for 1.
Yeah, he's got to do a lot more than just 1 for 1, though. That's the thing. You can win the first round, but it completely fall apart after that. And I don't want to say that he did that because of mistakes from Ratchet and eLconn, but I think once those two guys, I guess, shake the rust off a little bit, it's going to be a lot harder for any of these players to actually hold the lead. And as we see now, Manta making the mistake. He's in the back of the field now, and that leaves it to Rotrex, Ratchet, and eLconn to squabble over P1.
Well, first to last, it's tale as old as time. Currently, Ratchet looking a lot cleaner. You know, of course, there is that concern yesterday. He didn't look so clean in that first round. Well, sometimes you just need to warm up a little bit. The pre-match warm-up wasn't quite enough. You needed the spotlight on you to get the jitters completely out of your system. Currently, ahead of eLconn by about quarter second, give or take. eLconn gaining a little bit in the dirt. Ratchet actually getting a little bit of airtime, it looks like, there in the sausage section, but there's only so much remaining in this map. Ratchet going very high, does not touch the left wall there, and keeps it relatively clean as long as he doesn't miss the finish, which he doesn't. 107.9. We're getting faster and faster here.
Yeah, we just started. How quickly we get down to those mid 107s, we'll see. Of course, we only have 4 rounds here to play on Goldilocks Zone before we go to the next. But Manta and Ratchet tied at 13, eLconn and Rotrex tied at 11. So very good start for everybody to keep it as close as possible as we go into this third round. It's been a much better start overall. We see some slightly different lines here as we go into the dirt. Some drivers opting to go a little bit closer to the wall, some a little bit more conservative and staying on the inside, but right now it is Ratchet going for a dive on the inside of eLconn with a little bit of over-under. The line choice is gonna see eLconn through to the front for a moment, but Ratchet getting back at him, and even Manta's making up some positions, and Rotrex from about second place into last, but you can see how close he is, just about a 10th away from the leaders, and he will get the overtake. eLconn ahead, Ratchet with the touch through the thin section, so that'll put him right to the back, and we are closing in on the final parts of this trek, about 15 or so seconds to go. eLconn, a little bit of breathing room. This would be great for him, getting 10 points and starting a little bit of something. I think I just saw Manta go a little bit too on the inside on the dirt, and as we head up with the reactor onto the grass, barring some weird bit of aiming, eLconn puts the time even lower with a 107.87.
It feels like right now the players are just kind of rolling the dice to say, okay, you get first this time, third, fourth, whatever. Because the points are so ridiculously close. I mean, it's 5 points separating first through fourth. After 3 whole rounds, someone just utterly failed the jump there. Was that eLconn? That was eLconn, yeah. So he's going to be in the mud even more so now. It's really a 3-person race right now. Ratchet currently up in the lead, but Rotrex not even too far behind, and Manta is right on top of Ratchet. I think he wants to repeat that first round of his currently. just a few milliseconds in the lead of Ratchet. They have very different lines though, so it's a little bit of a give and take situation here. Manta comes out of it with the better line, however, going a little bit wider into the reactor section, looking to get a less sharp drift, and actually maintains quite a bit more speed. You can see he's overtaking Ratchet, who's just kind of stuck in that second place spot, but not the worst place to be. I'd say that'd be where eLconn is right now, almost 5 seconds behind, but given that the finish timeout is about 15 seconds, he should at least get the 3 points. Ratchet, however, looking for an aggressive overtake in the dirt. Doesn't quite find it, stuck in that second place. Rotrex as well, must have made a mistake further behind. Manta, however, looks to be securing yet another pretty safe 10-pointers. Ratchet going for a slightly more aggressive line there, but still just stuck with the 7.
But, for Rotrex, or not Rotrex, excuse me, Matza, that's, he started first and then he fell down, so now he's right back up. So hopefully this will continue. 4 points, though, separating first from fourth. We've had 4 rounds and we've had a 4-point difference. So I'm wondering if we have to grow the gap by the end of, each map by the number of rounds. So, this time it'll be 8. That's wishful thinking, of course, but we are going to go on to Monet for our second map. World record acronator, what was it again?
It's by Richie. Again, he has all the world records right now. 58.102. I forget if that's one of the older ones a few days ago or one that he grinded out this morning, but it's all Richie right now.
Yeah, I checked it before we went on stream, and I did see 7 hours, 8 hours from Richie. Yeah. Looking just through Trackmania.io. So as far as I'm concerned, these are from this morning. This is from, we said he woke up and decided, what, I got to get some world records, and that's what he did. So we will be seeing Richie in the next semi-final match. But folks, we are underway here on Monet. First of 4 rounds, Manta leads at 26, eLconn and Ratchet tied at 24, and it will be Rotrex in last place right now with 22, and eLconn, another early mistake from the Czech driver.
Yeah, he's kind of known for that all or nothing play style. He's risking it for the biscuit, and right now he's kind of leaving it on the kitchen counter. Rotrex falling a little bit further behind, however, he's going to be stuck in 3rd place, thankfully for him. eLconn trailing up the rear. Ratchet, well, thinking back to yesterday, the one match that we saw him on the mainstream, this kind of was his bread and butter map. He was just leaps and bounds ahead of everyone, and it seems to be the case right now as well. Manta and Rotrex really just fighting it out for that 2nd place spot. Ratchet goes very wide, but it does work out, and actually Rotrex clips there, so it's just going to be Manta leading behind in that 2nd place spot. Ratchet with a 58.6. That's a good time. 58 anything is going to be more or less what I'm expecting at this point in the competition.
Yeah, no, you think about the first bits of the day that we went through with GB, and you saw that times were a little bit all over the place. It was an open to everyone competition, so it wasn't like it was just reserved for the best of the best. But as is all competition, the later on you get, the quicker it seems to become overall, and it's especially noticeable when you're at this point. One mistake and you're basically out of the round. That's the danger of playing with such high caliber players, where in earlier matches you can make that mistake and still maybe have a chance at second, maybe first, depending on the competition. But here with Rotrex making that mistake, clipping the side, he's pretty much destined for the back right now, with Ratchet and eLconn starting to pull away. Manta losing little bits of time here and there. eLconn and Ratchet dueling it out for first place. eLconn needs to make amends. We'll see slightly different lines. No, we're going to both go inside. Ratchet was outside the last round, but he'll go inside this time. But eLconn should just have it, and Ratchet having to respawn. eLconn 58-49. It was almost like he wasn't under pressure at all.
Yeah, no, he sent it in that middle wood section. There were a few parts where it felt like he was going to crash at any second. And a good first place, and suddenly he's tied with Ratchet for second, only 3 points away from Manta, who's still in first. Those couple of first places in Goldilocks zone seem to be paying dividends. Rotrex, while he is currently in 4th place in terms of the overall points, he's only 10 away from Manta. So, this is still insanely close for, what is this now, the 3rd, 4th round of Monet?
3rd round, so we still have one more to go after this before we move on. But it's been I've been very impressed with what I've seen. Even with the little mistakes, it's still a sight to behold with these guys. Just they can make one mistake and then immediately shake it off and get back out there.
Certainly, and I mean, right now you have eLconn and Ratchet up in the lead right now. Rotrex gets a little bit of airtime off of that wood section, so he loses just a little bit of speed. More or less the same line from everyone this time around. Ratchet not going for his outside pole approach. It is a bit risky, but it does give more speed at the end. But I think he might have wanted that extra speed because eLconn's going to take it by 500s, 58.38.
Oh my god.
That's just shy of 3/10 away from world record.
Well, you talked about 58 anything being impressive, and we're just dropping those like it's nothing. Like this is like a gold medal time, but that's basically all there. So I'm not surprised. Really, honestly, it's insane what we're doing right now. And looking at the scoreline as well, we are seeing a wider divide right now. 14 points separating first from fourth. Ooh, that was...
Oh, no, Ratchet.
No, that's not what he needs. This is probably 3 points on. He's making more mistakes in the background. So it is a 3-horse race now. eLconn, Rotrex, and Manta. Woo, Rotrex. He really likes to push as far to the outside as he can on that dirt, it seems.
He likes that extra speed, and he's going to need it right now, because eLconn does not release at all in the section. He doesn't tap brake or anything. Granted, I don't think you'd ever want to tap brake on the wood. You just go from 100 to 0 speed instantaneously. But, I mean, he's just running away with it right now. I don't know what kind of lineup he has, but it's working every single time. And a 58.3 again. He's consistent with it. And that he's just going to pull away a little bit more. Granted, we're more or less done with Monet now, so we're heading over to a different map, but... eLconn has never been someone that you could consider a one-trick pony, so to speak. You know, he's just kind of like good at everything and really good at the weird stuff.
That's just the man he is. I think there's something happened in his life at some point. Hopefully, nothing too traumatic. He just thrives in the chaos, and that's exactly I think what you get with a lot of these maps here with Gravity Break. Is there chaos? Well, it is. Yeah, it is Mesosphere. So yeah, plenty of chaos. So we'll see if eLconn can maybe puts on some big showing. He's got 57 points right now in the bank, 48 for Mata, 47 for Ratchet, Rotrex at 40. So with this chaos, Rotrex needs to find a way to sift through it better than eLconn.
Yeah, definitely. He's going to have to start clawing his way back after the first map and a half, shall we say. The points were ridiculously close, but we're starting to see that divide. And, well, push comes to shove. Rotrex is going to have to start showing up, and now's the time to do it, because warm-up is done. We're into Mesosphere in earnest. Of course, this is what I'd say the map that kind of fits eLconn's playstyle the best, so I'm expecting him to still run away with a lot of first and second places here, but who knows? A lot of opportunities to clip and bunk and crash and just go way off track. But right now, it's currently up towards that pack, fighting for that first place position with Manta and Ratchet. Rotrex falling a little ways behind, doesn't quite have the pace compared to the others so far. Actually, even eLconn starts to fall behind. Manta and Ratchet are the ones currently up in that first place fight.
Yeah, battling it out, just about a 10th between them. eLconn coming back, though. Onto Manta's bumper, gets the overtake on one. He's got the overtake on Ratchet, but he goes a little too inside. He bonks the pole. He tried to break a little bit into the wood section, and it did not pay dividends. So he is going to have to settle for 3 points. Ratchet's grabbing that 10, so he'll be just a couple points behind of eLconn. Manta with +7 and Rotrex not recovering too much ground off of that, but eLconn, that was a lunge and a half from him. It almost worked out.
Yeah, that's kind of how you have to send the finish for this map, is just like pray that you don't hit anything, because someone just hit something. I don't know who that was.
eLconn. It is eLconn.
Wrong place to send it, buddy. But it's not actually too far behind, only about 3/4 of a second, give or take. Of course, that might grow with the lack of speed. Keep in mind the time for that last round, 54.3, actually isn't that close. World record is a 53 flat by Richie, 53.098 rather. So there's still quite a bit of time to be gained from this. They can send feel the pressure.
I was about to say, it's like a 53 flat. That seems almost a little too quick, but none the matter. We are getting into the end. Ratchet and Manta going to the line, and it will be Ratchet by 0.02 of a second. He'll pick up 10 points, goes to 67. Manta is going to have to settle for that 7 points, gives him 62. eLconn around to forget, but he's still 4 points behind Ratchet, still very much in the running for first place and securing that spot in the next round a little bit sooner. And Rotrex, he is really starting to fall behind now. He hasn't even crossed 50 points yet.
Actually, slight correction there. It was a typo on my end. The world record is 53.998, not 098.
Oh, okay. Okay,
so
even
a little
then,
bit more human. But yes, I believe Richie is the first person to hit 53 on this map as well, because all the other records are 54 flat. That's probably where the typo came from. But yeah, no, so 54.3 is quite fast, as it turns out, from Ratchet. Actually, speaking of fast, all the players are pretty much keeping it clean thus far. eLconn avoiding any major mistakes this time around coming into the final approach. Manta still looking for a little bit of revenge from the previous round, but he's not going to gain those few milliseconds. And Ratchet is going to overtake by just about 100th. eLconn swipes away that 10-pointer, but that's a beautiful fight for second place there.
Was Ratchet like a sniper in a past life? That's the second time in a row that he's done that. So I don't even know. That wood section of his is so much. The line he has, it allows him to get so much more exit, so much more of a straight line compared to the competition, and that's how he's managed to get those snipes in. And he does take the lead overall, just by a single point over eLconn. Mata at 66, Rotrex finally over with 51. But as we get into the last round of Mesosphere, eLconn leading the way, but Ratchet coming back with some more speed. Rotrex giving us a very good overview of the fighting three. So close on the inside there. You can see how much these players are starting to push Rotrex. Everything he's got, he's about a 10th and a half behind Manta, but we are getting into the plastic section. We're closing up on the end here. We're going to see who has the better line. It's just about even going through. Manta's taking a slightly different line. He's going to try to get an exit, but it's not going to be enough, and Ratchet's going to just stay ahead of eLconn. Drops a 54, 26-1 to round things out here on Mesosphere and extend his lead by another 3 points. It will be 84 to 80 to 69 to 55 as we head into our third map. I think, Acronator, we are starting to see who the first two drivers going through might be.
Yeah, we're starting to see that differentiation just a bit. And who knows, maybe Rotrex and Manta are a little bit less confident on our second and third maps there. But at some point, at this level of the competition, there's not really an excuse for being better at this map or that map. You just have to be good at all of them, right? I mean, we're going into Blonde. It's a relatively simple map, all things considered, especially compared to Mesosphere, which we just came off of. It's more just like speed tech, a little bit of full speed towards the very middle, and then a little bit of reactor shenanigans towards the very end. So, I mean, you just gotta be fast at the end of the day. This is like the pace map of all pace maps for this map pack. And I mean, coming into it, memory serves, eLconn was pretty darn good. He was battling it up there with Josh, who we're going to see in the next match, I believe. And that is the full speed player. So if eLconn can keep up with him, gotta worry for everyone else in this lobby. They're trapped in here with him.
Yeah, I know we talked about it yesterday. Certain people in certain teams, let's say, who are known for certain styles are definitely a huge fan of Blonde on the end. We've seen some pretty ridiculous overtakes coming out of this section. And it's such a short full speed section. It's one speed drift into a turnover, into another speed drift before you hit the penalty. And eLconn's got it slightly better. Ratchet touches on the inside, so that'll demote him down to last. But it is eLconn battling it out with Rotrex and Manta. They're both trying to find a way through here. We're going onto the beam again. We'll drop onto the wood. eLconn's got a better line into the last drift. How wide do you want to push it? eLconn's going to push it pretty wide. And we'll jump into the ring. eLconn drops a 102.9. Then Rotrex also with the 102.9. Manta in the 103s. And Ratchet, we saw that touch right at the end. He's going to have to settle for only 4 points. Not helping him out at all.
No, that's actually going to allow Monza to slowly claw his way back towards that second place position. Granted, I wouldn't bide on Ratchet making too many more mistakes like that, not at this level. But eLconn's going to be pretty happy about getting back up into that first place spot. And we're slowly and surely approaching that finalist position, folks. Remember, we're going to be playing to 120 pretty much all day, right up until the grand finals. Everything until then is 120 points to finalists. So 3 more wins, which eLconn could do on this map, and that's finalist for whatever comes next.
Yeah, but he's
Oh my
got
God.
a bunch of people to get through. Monta with the mistake that does leave Ratchet and eLconn alone to battle it out once more. I think eLconn's getting the full speed section just a little bit better because going into the penalty grass,
Oh,
Ratchet touching the walls. I have said this before and I will say it again. Those road grass blocks, I swear to you, the hitboxes on the walls are slightly wider. I'm not crazy, I promise. I have noticed this time and time again. I've done my experimentation, but eLconn doesn't care. A 102.6 for him. Rotrex, Ratchet, and Monta finally crossing the line about 3.5 seconds back. eLconn has locked in. He's gone 2 for 2 so far. He's at 100 points. Like you said, Acronator, if he can win 2 more, he'll be on finalist going into the next map. So he might want to, stay locked in just a little bit longer.
quite possibly. And if my math is correct, I believe Ironclad is the fifth map in our rotation here, and eLconn's pretty good at that one too. Memory serves, so maybe he doesn't need to, but I'm sure he'd like to get finalists much sooner than just about anyone else, especially if he can keep dealing with Ratchet making these mistakes here and there, because then that he's delayed quite a bit further into getting his own finalist position, but coming into the full speed section here, Ratchet seems to be holding off eLconn well enough, but I think eLconn gets the better turnaround there because you could see the gap lessening quite a lot. He had a lot more speed coming into the penalty section, and now Ratchet has struggled the last couple rounds in the grass section, but now clips. He will not fall the whole way down to fourth place. He will maintain a third place position, but Ratchet is pretty much up in the lead by himself. Rotrex about half a second behind eLconn, battling for that third place spot. And Ratchet keeps it
Oh,
clean. eLconn will actually snipe out Monza, who must have made some kind of mistake there with his split. But, well, eLconn cannot get finalist on this map anymore, so he's going to have to wait for Ironclad to get to that position.
I was watching eLconn the entire round, and Monta, he was even with eLconn a bit, and then they got around the drift, and eLconn came out of it with a little bit more speed, and then onto the beam. Monta's right side tires just slipped off, so he lost all momentum, and he had to settle for the that safe finish. So eLconn, I mean, he's only 3 points ahead of Ratchet, but he wants to make sure that his German opponent does not get any more points than him. So he'll, for the time being, he has stayed ahead. Gap's about a tenth, almost 2/10 into the full speed section. It is Rotrex overtaking Monta for P3. Ratchet and eLconn. Ratchet has a little bit more speed into the penalty grass, into the drift. He's going to go wider and higher. Going to carry far more momentum onto the grass, but those reactor boosts and the engine off, keeping them close. Ratchet is going to drift a little bit longer. eLconn straightening the car out so early compared to his opponent, so he's going to gain so much more space as we get into that final drift. Wide on exit for Ratchet, but eLconn's got it covered off at 102. 55-8 to round out the last round of Blonde. He is 6 points from finalist as we head potentially into Ironclad. eLconn is dropping some pretty spicy times.
Yeah, that was about a tenth away from world record by Richie, of course, but that's a fast time. Like normally at this level, at this caliber of player, anything within like zero point 0.2 of world record is a very fast time, right? They're not going to usually be driving their hunting times in rounds. It's nice when it happens, but you can't always expect to see stuff like
No,
that.
no, you can't.
But now coming into Ironclad, it's a bit of a tricky map, a bit more techy, in some ways. A lot of airtime that you can get if you're not careful. A lot of variety of surfaces, quite a bit of plastic, which memory serves eLconn is quite good at.
Yep.
So I'm expecting to see him kind of run away with this one because Ironclad is the last map in this rotation, I think is going to play pretty well for eLconn's finalist chances. I would almost expect him to be the first one out from the finalist curse.
Yeah, I mean, is there anything that eLconn isn't good at? I mean, that's kind of the real question I think we should be asking. But on
By
to
comparison, well, it's relative.
well, yeah, I guess that's true. But you think about it, I mean, he's already pushing this track to its limits here. He does have a first place, only by less than a tenth, though. Roadtrex is running right behind him, and so is Ratchet trying to come back with something. Different lines, though, will get the overtake on the Frenchman. But he does have another set of red, white, and blue flag colors to get through, and it is going to be eLconn. Ratchet's a little bit on the inside, but he's going to lose out on some momentum. We have seen rounds decided on this corner just because of that airtime you mentioned, Acronator, to minimize, but we are closing in on the very end. A slight drift onto this grass here before we get onto more plastic. Ladies and gentlemen, eLconn is going to be reaching finalist mode first with a 56. 7-9-8. Ratchet's going to be 5 points away from that, and then it's Roadtrex and Manta who have to pick up the pieces if they want to make finalists. They're separated by a single point, but they've got 30 to get to Ratchet.
Yeah, and to be honest, I mean, looking at this compared to some of the earlier matches in the bracket from yesterday, Monza and Roadtrex have a good amount of points, but it's still quite a climb. I mean, they got like 30 something, 35, 36 to get to finalists themselves, and that's a lot of denial that they need to go through in order to, get their way into the upper bracket finals. Remember, this is the upper bracket semis, so I mean, they're pretty darn close to the grand finals, as it were. But they need to earn their way there. And currently, eLconn is looking to earn his way into the upper bracket finals, currently fighting it out with Ratchet, who is trading blow for blow. It feels like eLconn's gaining on each plastic section, and Ratchet is gaining on every drift. It feels to be the case. You can see their specialties coming into play here, and Ratchet currently in the lead. He might be able to deny it. He just needs to avoid the hole and have enough speed. eLconn had a little bit more, but it's all Ratchet maintained by about 400ths, 56.7. Pretty darn fast. World record is 56.57, so we're getting terribly fast, and unfortunately for the entire lobby, eLconn's not going to slow down, so you just need to drive that pace if you want to deny the finalists even further. But now it's up to Monza and Roadtrex to do so.
Yeah, but when you look at the pace that these guys have put out, it's really not that simple for them, unfortunately, because eLconn and Ratchet are just that far ahead of them in terms of skill here. And I know the gaps in skill are quite small, but when you get to this high a level of Trackmania, those minor differences are going to set the entire stage for how the match is going to go and just how difficult it will be for you. But right now, Manta and Roadtrex somehow almost working together, it feels like, to hold off Ratchet and eLconn, doing a great job, sort of trading back and forth who's in first, depending on the corner. Roadtrex right now, 10 points for him would be crucial. Manta's on 88, but he's going to touch the wall. eLconn up into the lead. Ratchet's going to try and make something happen here, but we dip into the plastic and up and over we go. It will be eLconn, the first player to go through to the next round, to the grand finals. He's going to be absolutely happy about that, and I can't say that I'm too surprised.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was my prediction. I wasn't expecting everyone to put up as much of a fight as this. Honestly, that was a great fight to deny eLconn for at least one round. But, yeah, that was almost a foregone conclusion. Again, this map feels very much in eLconn's wheelhouse. But now, Ratchet seems a little bit more mortal on this map, right? He's had some good rounds, he's had some less good rounds on this map, and at the very least, Roadtrex and Manta seem to be capable of holding up to Ratchet's pace, but can they maintain under the pressure? Because if Ratchet gets first place, that's it, match is done. We're not playing to 3 winners for this match in particular. We will once we get towards the later matches of the lower bracket, because we have to determine ambit points and prize money, but that's not right now. Ratchet can end this all right now without going back to the Goldilocks zone. And currently, Roadtrex is up in the front by just a few hundredths, but Ratchet has so much speed out of that drift. I don't know where he finds it. Just press B for boost, maybe just less B for brake, and it looks like that's going to be V for victory, as Ratchet will be the second player heading over to the winners bracket finals.
We were spoiled a bit, it feels like, with
Yeah.
eLconn and Ratchet just saying, "Hey, here's a time that's kind of close to world record." So it's going to be interesting to see how they fare when we see them again. We do, of course, have another upper bracket semi to get through, so we'll have plenty of fun with that. But with Rotrex and Manta, they do go to that lower bracket, so there's still a chance for them to make it through, but they got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, they're going to have to step up the consistency for sure. I think their pace at times was definitely enough to take it to Ratchet and eLconn, but I mean, they're just making too many mistakes left and right, you know? And I mean, that's kind of the challenge. At this level of play, you have players like eLconn, especially, who are just going to drive out of their minds every single round, and you just have to keep up with that. That's really difficult. Like, these maps are hard to drive normally, let alone when you have to risk it as hard as eLconn and Ratchet are.
Yeah, and when you're like Rotrex, you're like Manta, you know the history of Ratchet and eLconn. You've seen them play in so many different competitions, and then you finally are in the lobby, and you might be a little starstruck, but then you realize, oh wait, I'm playing with some of the best. You know, that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of, I'd say, a little bit of anxiety as well. You know,
Oh
you
yeah.
might be a little bit more inclined to make mistakes because of that. You realizing that maybe you're slightly out of your depths to say, but they still put up one hell of a fight. I mean, you look at the scores by the end; they were only separated, I think, by a few points. So Rotrex and Manta, I wouldn't be surprised if we see them come back later to try and do something again.
Oh, possibly. Yeah. I mean, at this level, the competition is going to get harder and harder. But I also wouldn't be surprised to see Manta and Rotrex make it at least a little bit further into the lower bracket. Of course, it's gonna get more difficult, but I think they definitely have the potential to be maybe not so much of a dark horse. I don't think you make it this far into the upper bracket and still be considered a dark horse. But they definitely have the potential to make it further. I don't think this will be the last we see of them. Ignoring the fact that we're going to be covering the lower bracket later on in the day. But for now, we're going to take a very short break to allow everyone to breathe while we get ready for the second upper bracket semifinal. So don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back here at Gravity Break. We have quite the match here, the second upper bracket semifinal. And if you thought the first match was intense, I think this one is going to be a lot more hectic, because if you've been keeping track of the leaderboards, the following names are going to ring some bells: Nayko, Panda, Josh, and Richie.
Yeah, that last one in particular, we've already given a little bit of spotlight to, as he currently holds all 5 world records on these. Now, rounds times and hunting times are a little bit different, so who knows seeing here in terms of who's in the lead, but I think everyone's going to agree that all 4 of these names are very recognizable for this match. We're going to be starting off, I believe the map order is the same for both of the upper bracket semis.
Could
So
be.
we're going to be starting off on Goldilocks Zone once again and going through the same map rotation, I believe. But at the very least, the first map is the same. I can guarantee that much. We're going to be getting into the warm up in just a minute. We'll be getting into it. I think it's going to be a lot harder to predict, but Legion, any predictions for who's going to be making it into the upper bracket finals out of this semi?
So I looked at the leaderboard, of course, and I tried to sneak through the brackets, and I, I don't really know. I feel like if you want to go solely off of world records, you could say Richie easily. Um, I may have to give it to Josh. I think he might also have a really good shot at making it through. Yeah, it's just looking at the times and looking at how brackets have gone. You, I don't think you can predict it. I really don't think you can. You can
Yeah,
try. You're
right.
welcome to. I don't know why you'd want to, though. My God, when you have the 4, I guess, highest rated currently on the leaderboards as of this morning, all in one lobby, I would be surprised if anybody found a way to run away with this one.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to be a lot closer. There might be like 1 or 2 players that just have a bad match and ultimately get, well, of course, 2 players are going to have to be relegated down into the lower bracket. But, you see some mistakes already coming out. I'm not sure who it was. That was Panda. It's a name I haven't seen in couple of years, honestly. I don't follow the European scene as much, but I haven't seen him since what, Challenger League, give or take.
Yeah, I think so. It's been a
So
minute.
who knows how up to date he's been in competing at this level of competition, whereas the other three so far doing pretty well, and actually even Panda, for all that doubt, is still only about 3/10 behind Nayko currently in the lead. But I mean, Richie and Josh are right on his tail, so it's hard to really say who's going to take this. If Nayko can maintain a good line coming into the uphill
Panda.
here, but we do have Josh taking a very risky line. Is he going to be able to take? I don't think so. No, he actually does snipe second though. He went very far into the right in the finish there.
I know we're getting off the bat already. We're getting some absolute banger rounds here. This might just be how it is for the whole time. Barring mistakes. I think this may come down. I would not be surprised if we saw triple finalist, maybe even quad finalist. But my God, it's having players this close. I think is skill is a little bit better than last match because you saw there was a clear divide between eLconn, Ratchet, and then Mancha and Rotrex. But here it seems like we're on a relatively level playing field. So who ultimately comes out on top is, I think we're going to be back on Goldilocks zone at the very least to decide who goes through the next round.
I can definitely see that, barring Josh just running away with maybe something like Blonde, which, is the full speed map. But other than that, I don't think you can really count anyone out in this regard. Panda, again, is making some mistakes towards the midsection there with the plastic reactor, so he's going to be falling much further behind. So maybe he's the straggler in this group, but even still, these top three are once again within like a tenth or two of each other leading into the final approach. And Josh goes very high into the finish, but does actually make it. There was one round yesterday that he bounced over it, which was funny, but probably not so much for him.
No, it's always, it's the Schadenfreude. If it's happening to someone else, hilarious. If it's happening to you, it's stupid and it's not fun. 14, and 6. So Panda, yeah, he's made some mistakes. I'm wondering maybe you look at the leaderboards and that's, the optimal I'm pushing the whole time, type of play style. But when you get into the rounds, you need to be a bit more reserved. You need to slow it down a little bit because yes, you could have all world records. You could be Richie, but you think about how much risk taking actually goes into these world records. And if you pull it off in rounds, it can be a lot trickier because you don't have that sort of calm environment that you would have just playing the maps by yourself. Wow. How did Panda get away with for that one? Okay. Especially with Reactor. I mean, that's one of those, you almost don't get to put a tire off the ledge before you just get sucked down like it's a whirlpool. But at the moment, Panda using his luck on that one to stay ahead. It's Nayko, Josh, and Panda battling it out for P2. Richie is quite far behind, only a couple tenths though, so not entirely out of it, but going into the finish, Panda's going to go a little bit low, try to crisscross on the way out, but it is not going to be enough. Nayko taking 10 points, 7 for Josh, 4 for Panda, much needed 4 points, and then Richie with 3.
Yeah, Panda looked a lot cleaner in that round, and he's going to need to be even more clean. He's going to have to start getting quite a few more 7 and 10 pointers if he wants to claw his way back. But, a couple of bad rounds at the very first map is probably a good time to do it, as opposed to much later when you start getting closer to that finalist spot, getting closer to that 120 points that everyone is coveting right now. But realistically, we're at least 10 rounds away from that if Nayko or Josh just win it out from here. But
yeah, I'm wondering
if Nayko, he's fallen a little bit further behind.
Yep. Yeah, no, I was thinking with this map, I'm wondering if this maybe isn't Panda's best map. I think maybe the world record was sort of one of those, just one time, get a good round, but ultimately your overall pace isn't the best compared to these other players. So I don't think we can count Panda out either with this. I know obviously Richie and Nayko and Josh just, grabbing 10 rounds of wins would be a sight to behold, especially because there's only so many points to be given out. But Panda he's gotten into his element here as he does get that second place.
Josh was able to snipe Nayko for that third place position because Nayko missed the risky finish. He just kind of bounced
Yep.
off of it. Unfortunate, because he actually had a
Yep.
clean line after that bounce into the safe finish, but Josh was too close behind. So one missed point there, which, well, if Nayko gets 119, we know we're to blame for that. But honestly, now even Panda, a couple of good rounds there at the end, is starting to claw his way back. He's still got some more clawing to do, a little bit more climbing. But I think if any map might play to the skill set of Panda, it might actually be Monet. It's very like tech heavy, very precision based, right?
Yeah. Think that's right up his alley. So
Yeah.
if there's a map that will probably give him the most points, ideally, it might be Mane. He is 10 points behind Nayko and Richie, who are both at 17, and then we do have Josh at 25. So it's not entirely over for anybody
No.
here as we get into the first round, but we'll have to see just who has it in them to make the most here of this incredibly precise map. And even we've seen some of the best make mistakes, so it's not entirely out of the question, though, for these guys.
Well, currently everyone is neck and neck. You could barely even see all four cars with the ghosts basically on top of each other. And Josh currently falling a little ways behind. It actually takes a lot of airtime. So we're pulling up the rear for the remainder of this track unless someone else makes an even more catastrophic mistake. But thus far, Panda trailing just a little bit compared to Nayko, and Richie will actually clip there. He loses a ton of speed, so it's just Nayko up in the front by himself by almost half a second. And Panda just trying to play catch up, but I mean, right now he's getting a good 7 points. It's much needed, even though I'm sure he'd love to get that 10-pointer.
Yeah, but at the very least, that'll pull him pretty close to Josh, who will be getting 3. He'll only be about 4 points behind. Very surprising from Josh there to get that airtime off of the wet wood. I think he might have just tried to straight line it a little too early, and that led to his downfall. And then Richie with a slight touch on the inside onto the wood. And I know you talked about it, Acronator, with not hitting the brake on wood because you'll slow right down, but grazing a wall has a pretty similar effect, just -1 input. And Josh now will hit just tap the inside wall, so he'll lose some speed. Thankfully, not too much though. So he is about 4/10, maybe about half a second off of the front pack, who is separated by 800ths as Panda and Richie. It is a French 1, 2, 3, but it will be Panda ping-ponging around and down the order he goes. That'll give Josh a P3, but as it stands currently, Nayko and Richie going through the wood section. Nayko's going to get a much tighter line off the wood. He's going to get so much more speed, gets the overtake on Richie as we are heading into the last checkpoint here, and Richie goes a little bit too wide, so he'll get some airtime there. And sorry, this is the last checkpoint. Nayko's going to get 10 points. He's going to extend his lead over Richie, who was able to recover. Josh almost was able to overtake at the end, but 200 separate him from the Frenchman, and then Panda having to bring up the rear here. 47, 38, 32, 27. 20 points separating these drivers in total.
I found it funny when you said the Frenchman pulling up the rear, because I'm like, which one? I had to look at the standings.
I said that and then I remembered.
There's 3 Frenchmen.
Hey, thank God there's not 4. There could have been 4. Okay, it could have been so much worse.
Pull up the Batman Beyond meme. Do you realize how little that narrows it down?
Yes.
But Nayko, honestly, we were saying Panda might be really good at this map. Nayko is just running away with it. I think he's won every single round thus far. He's been pulling out a huge amount of the stops towards the ending, especially. I've noticed he's just been like getting at least a tenth ahead of everyone coming out of that wood section right there. But currently, Richie looking to maintain his status as the most dominant player on this map. Holds the world record for now. I'm sure some of the players in this lobby would love to overtake that, but I think Richie is going to be able to this round away from Nayko, very close in general, and Josh and Panda are pulling up the rear. Panda, much needed points, but I'm sure he would have liked some more.
Yeah, with Nayko at the end, I think he had the speed coming out of that final little wood section, but I think he might have just gone a little too early on the left-hander on the plastic, and I think that's what lost out some of the momentum because he lost about 200ths in the end, almost 300ths in the end. So that could have gone a lot differently depending on if the line had been a little bit cleaner. But into the last round here of Mane. It is Richie, Josh, Panda, Nayko. That is your standings here. Into the wood. Nayko has not gotten the best start here. We have seen him catch up, though, in latter stages, as we do see 1 and 2, Richie and Panda, both making mistakes at roughly the same time with slightly different outcomes. Josh now has a very healthy 3/4 of a second, or sorry, a third of a second. I can't do math. Gav over Nayko. And that is going to diminish just a little bit, but really not enough for him to be too worried. It will grow once more. He has gained some time. Richie's made another mistake, so has Panda. But as we go into the jump for the last time, it will be a comfortable lead for Josh. Nothing to worry about. Richie and Panda arriving on the scene a little bit later. Panda has really been faltering these last few rounds, and you can see that gap growing exponentially. It almost feels like, as we do move on to the next map, almost 30 points separates first from fourth.
Yeah, you got to start to worry about some of these players if you're rooting for them. Panda's starting to fall behind, and it's pretty rare in this tournament that we've seen thus far where anyone is like starting off in fourth place and slowly climbs their way back up into like the top two positions. Again, this isn't an elimination match, but you don't want to fall down into the lower bracket when you're so close to getting a relatively easy ticket into the grand finals. By comparison, the number of matches that these guys are going to have to play if they fall into the lower bracket, I think at least doubles. But
I think,
yeah, it's almost. I mean, they've gotten past quite a few of those extraneous matches just by making it to the upper bracket semis, but you want just, one more match in between now in the grand finals. But to do so, they're going to have to survive Mesosphere, which some would say is easier or harder than other situations that you might come across in this map pack.
Yeah, I think so. And Mesosphere is going to be that map. You and I have gone over and over and over and over again about this map and how it plays and just how difficult it is. And we have seen some of the best players get tripped up on this map as well. So there really isn't any sort of skill point to where you don't make a mistake here. But into the first round, Richie has started to lead the pack. You can see Nayko trying to get into the picture, but he doesn't have the best line. He will have to squabble with fourth, but we are getting to the end here, folks. Separated 500ths of a second. We're going on to the wood section. It's Panda through the checkpoint, but Nayko coming back slightly neater lines. But here comes Josh. He's got a lunge, but he's not got enough reach. And it will be Nayko grabbing that P1. 54-31 14 thousandths of a second was all Josh needed to overcome, but it wasn't enough at the end. Nayko continuing to extend his lead now as he is starting to leave Richie and Josh in the dust.
It feels a little bit like deja vu from Mane because Nayko didn't necessarily have the best starts on that map nor this map in the previous round, but the ending was just pristine. And dare I say, in a lot of these maps, that is the most important part of the map, that you want to be able to send it and to gain that extra 10th. A lot of people are going to be practicing the start, maybe even the middle sections, more than the ending, but we've seen this ending pay dividends, not just in that previous round of Nayko, however, actually leading the pack pretty early on this time around. And while everyone is somewhat close, within about a third of a second separating each other, there's not too much of the map remaining as Nayko touches the wall there at the very least, or maybe had to release to avoid it. But that's a clips. Fourth place Richie, maybe getting that first place. Panda tried to overtake, but not quite able to, and the positions remain the same going into the finish line.
Yeah, Panda on the exit of the wood, I saw him just get a drift going, and that is something that can happen. If you push it a little too hard, you try to maximize your exit speed. So there is some sort of science with that ending to, while yes, you want to go for that speed, you need to be careful because you can have what happened to Panda and what would have been potentially a P1 just fell apart right at the end. So he's going to have to continue to find something. I mean, really anything. He is 30 points again off of Nayko, and even off of second. Off of third. He does have a 13-point deficit, and he does have to respawn. So effectively out of this round here, Josh leading it ahead of Nayko and Richie by about a 10th and a half. They're going to come back here with a little bit of a touch to try and get closer. Nayko's got a better line, though. He is hounding the Briton as we go onto the wood. Josh is sending it. Nayko on the inside. It was just a little too much. And Josh drops a 54-18. That is giving him 10 points that he will need to try and reel Richie back in. And poor Panda having to settle for last. And a good round from Josh, who kept it relatively quiet overall, and he was rewarded for his efforts.
Yeah, and I think Josh is a little bit in that hot seat right now because he is within striking distance of second place. He just needs to get a few more good rounds in. But obviously Richie and Nayko are both kind of making it difficult for Josh to gain enough points to actually make that push. Panda, of course, has to do quite a bit of pushing to actually get into striking distance at all. But I mean, we are seeing mistakes left and right in these rounds so far. Granted, we're getting towards the end of Mesosphere, so I wouldn't bite on too many more mistakes happening.
No, and I mean, the mistakes we're seeing are at the end of the map, which is, I would say, the riskiest section, the spot where you really can gain or lose so much time. But so far, nobody has made any mistakes. The top three separated by less than half a tenth. Panda goes a little too wide. Josh and Richie, a drag race to the line, sees Josh come home in first. Panda, unfortunately, again, the misfortune, the woes continue to follow him. As we get to the end of Mesosphere, Nayko still in the lead, although it is only 3 points over his opponents and a couple points down from there. And again, it is Panda just bringing up the rear. Not the match that Panda has been wanting.
Yeah, and again, this is not an elimination match, so it's not the end of the world for Panda, but you got to feel for the man when he's like fighting for that first place spot for at least half of the rounds on Mesosphere, and then just like some minor mistake, he sent it a little bit too hard, and with a wood section like that at such high speed, you know, tap your joystick or your keyboard just one tiny bit, and you're going 90 degrees in the opposite direction. So I don't know. He had the points in the palm of his hand, and it just flew away. You know, and that's
wonder,
rough.
Yeah, I wonder if the nerves are starting to get to him a little bit. It is upper bracket semi, and he knows that just below him is the loser's bracket. And I don't know. I think he's mentally preparing himself for that, because this is, I'd say maybe a bit uncharacteristic for Panda. He's got a lot of work to do though if he wants to come back here on Blonde. Which I think should maybe favor some of these players a little bit more, especially with that full speed section at the end.
Yeah, just give it about, 10-15 seconds, and we'll see exactly which players it favors as we get into the fabled full speed section. Josh currently in 4th place, and he's now fighting for 2nd, as it were. Never mind, he's almost, sort of. Yeah, no, now he's in 1st. It just took a little bit longer than we were expecting, but nope, there he is. A full 10th and a half ahead of everyone else. Richie, the next closest, at about 0.14 away, but I mean, Josh just ran away with it. And Nayko gets a little bit too well acquainted with the wall. Panda up in the fray of things, but I think he might be relegated down into 3rd place. Never mind, he's going to take 2nd away. Thank you very much, sir. May I have another 7 points? Nayko actually steals away 3rd place by taking the safe finish, funnily enough, and Richie is going to have to deal with falling down into 3rd in the overall points. Josh actually taking 1st as well, and he thinks he's not going to let go of that by the end of this map.
No, 5 points separating 1st from 3rd, and Josh with that shift tag, and we all know what that means when it comes to certain play styles, especially on a map like Blonde. We've said it's the speed tech / full speed, so I am not too surprised that we are seeing Josh in a position to take some pretty major points here. And he does seem to follow Nayko there, falling off, so he has to respawn. But this is sort of the trend I think we've seen with this map and any of the shift players in this competition, is that while they are able to maybe keep up or fall behind a little bit on the other tracks, when we get to Blonde, they just go, hi, so I'm on split, or I'm on shift. we do full speed. Let me show you how it's done. And Josh is doing just that. He almost doesn't have to worry, though. Yeah, Panda making a mistake there at the end, so he'll fall behind. I don't think he'll worry about Nayko. But Josh, though, leading Richie into the risky finish in a 102.7 again for Josh. I mean, this man is... I think we may potentially... I don't think we're not going to see him on finalist by the time we get to the end, but we could be seeing one of the most important numbers, 117 for him, but we still got a couple rounds to go.
Yeah, he's still got to earn it. And keep in mind, Richie currently still has the world record. It's a 102.46. So, I mean, if Josh really wants to make a statement piece, just saying, world record's right there. Just send it, buddy. Just do it, please.
Yeah, he wants to send it as much as he can here. Yeah, he wants to make it difficult for everyone else. Come on.
Well, he's showing off a little bit right now since he's in third place, and first place feels almost inevitable, but you never know. Again, Richie is quite fast on this map as well, and Panda's doing pretty well for himself. But Josh,
oh my
you blink and you miss it. He's currently in the fray. It's so fun. It's like watching Mika on ice. I use that today, but it's true. He's just too good for this section. Author Time knew exactly what he was doing here. And Nayko, unfortunately, did not because he lost quite a bit of time. And Josh, that was a disgusting wood section. I don't know how he got that much speed out of it.
But he's speed.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
It felt like a foregone conclusion, but... yeah. We got one more round on Blonde, by the way, and Josh is 3 for 3. I'm not a betting man, but I'd say he's likely going to go 4 for 4 based on what we've been... Unless he tries to literally go for world record and just sends it a little bit too hard. If that's even possible.
I don't know. He might find a way, but it's Josh. I think he'll send it really hard, but it'll work out in the end. He's probably got some weird voodoo magic or something to stave off the crashing gods. But as we get into the last round, a pretty familiar sight though, with Josh maybe not getting the best start, but he lines it up for this SD section. This is where he waits. This is his favorite section. He's gone. Yep. Hit B for boost, join shift for boost. It doesn't matter because he's pulling away. And I mean, yeah, he's got Nayko on his tail. Nayko is closed in nicely, and so has Richie. Okay, we may be seeing the fall of Josh. Maybe not the perfect 4 as Acronator has predicted, but onto the wood section we go, and there it is. Josh with the touch. And that lets everybody through, even with Panda being behind for most of the round. It just goes wrong just like that in 13 thousandths of a second with Nayko and Richie. But ultimately, Josh is the big winner here. He does have 7 points of an advantage over Richie as we move on to our next map, which, if I'm not mistaken, should be Ironclad. So we will be seeing Josh get finalist here. It's a question of 1, how many rounds, and 2, how quickly does he convert that to a win?
Josh started Blonde in third place overall, by the way.
Yep.
He's
he
now
did.
in
Yes,
first
he did.
He was like in third by, what, 20-something points?
Something like that, I think.
He's now in the lead by 7 points. So Author Time just buffed him entirely. He's like, you know what? Josh needs a handicap.
Yes, he does. I think they conspired together. I think in the mapping phase, Josh was just like looking over his shoulder. He's like, yeah, you should do some SDs right there. I think that'd be really cool. No reason.
Don't ask any questions. Just put it in the map, and we just look the other way. Did Author Time play an ADL? I don't remember. And if he did, was he on the same team as Josh? Is the question.
I know he did. Author Time did play an ADL, and I do think that him and Josh were on the same team. So
it's all coming together. But now, Josh, of course, has the potential to get finalist this round. No one else can do that, so he'd have 1 round of buffer. But this ain't the full speed map anymore, so he's going to have to really send it. Right now, Richie and Nayko are playing a little bit of spoiler by about a 10th, give or take, a little bit less. Panda is not so much in the picture, but Josh, potentially, if he can make up that quarter second, give or take, might be able to get that red number on the back of his car.
Yeah, but it's going to be quite the effort here. I mean, right now he is trailing behind by about a tenth, though. We are getting into the last section here as Nayko and Richie are going to battle it out for P1. Josh made a mistake on the grass section, and Nayko will take that first 10 points with a 56-82. Josh?
Did he realize that there's a safe? There's a safe? Please? Points?
Oh, no.
He's not gonna get it. He didn't realize there was a safe finish. He bounced off the wall. Yeah. Oh no. I don't think stream can see chat, but he said how Finn. How Finn.
I told him. I said it's in the pit.
He didn't.
I told him
he literally could have just fell in the hole, and he would have gotten like at least 4 points.
I know. I think you know what? I think he's just the way he plays it. I think big hits for Richie. He'll go to last. I think with Josh, I think when he plays this map, I don't think he ever had to worry about that safe in. I think every time he got to the end, it was just into the risky, and he assumed that was the finish. So that's probably why he doesn't know. He'll make a touch, he'll fall behind. So 2-horse race, Nayko and Panda. Never mind.
1-horse race.
1-horse race. It's Panda up in front, unless I was really expecting to make a mistake. But no, Panda's got this one in the bag right now. These are some 10 points that he absolutely needs to try and get back into this, but he will jump up. He will grab 10. Then it's Nayko. Josh finally making that risky finish, and Richie as well. So those 4 points that he needed at Grenadier, he found them. It just took him an extra round to get there.
Nayko. No, because Nayko missed the 1 point earlier as well. I forget where, but I remember specifically saying, if Nayko got 119, we know where to blame. And I think it's on Mesosphere where he got like last place instead of third place for some silly reason. That's painful, but
that really is
potentially even more painful, depending on who you're talking about from their perspective. We might have a triple finalist by the end of this. Actually, is that possible? No, I don't.
Yeah, it is. If Josh wins this round, Richie. If Josh wins this round, Richie gets second, and then of course Nayko just has to reach the finish line. So we're gonna look to Josh. Never mind, Josh is out of this. Okay, so we're probably gonna have double finalists ideally, unless Richie, of course, makes some mistake and falls behind Panda. But at the moment, regardless of how him and Nayko finish, they will both be finalists. And for Josh, that's gonna be a bit of a gut punch because this is not his best map. But into the finish we go, ladies and gentlemen. And it will be double finalists. Nayko and Richie got exactly what was needed. Panda comes home in third, Josh in fourth. Josh will have to just finish the next round to get into that finalist mode. But I believe we have, one more round here on Ironclad before we go back around. So this might not be the end ultimately for Josh, as Nayko gets a shocking start, is already behind.
Oh no, I just realized if Josh had gone into the pit, he would have been final.
Oh my god. What is this? What is it with you and just like the point genie over it? Like you just know.
Hey, that's his fault.
Oh my god.
The Nayko thing I called maps ago.
Okay,
the Josh thing is his own fault. Okay.
All right, I'll give you that. I'll give you that one.
But Panda currently looking pretty much in a good position to potentially spoil Richie's hopes and dreams. Nayko, however, also in the fray of things. I saw he was in fourth place and thought he was further behind, but no, everyone's within like a tenth, although Nayko, as I say that, gets a weird gear and falls like 3/10 behind, so it's up to Panda or Josh. Richie has a good line. Panda, I don't think, has the speed to overtake, and Richie will be the first player from this round, from this match, to make it into the grand finals, or not the grand finals,
the upper bracket finals.
We're getting there. Skipped around. I'm sure Richie would love that, but all in due time.
Yep, and Josh now is on the finalist mode as well, so we are going to have to go back to the start of this rotation. It will be Goldilocks zone. I did call it. I'm not going to toot my own horn here, but Nayko and Josh on finalist, Panda at 94. Is there any way, shape, or form that Panda can come back into this, or do you think we may just have one round and then that'll be it?
It felt
or maybe
like
2 rounds.
It felt like Goldilocks Zone was Panda's worst map. Granted, it was the first map of the series, so who knows how much of the warm-up in the last rotation has really helped him. but I'm kind of expecting one of the finalists to run away with this. Who? Depends. I don't remember Nayko having the best of times on this map. I think Josh and Richie were the two that were kind of pulling ahead at the very start, so it's hard to really say. Panda gets a little bit of a clip there at the start, and it doesn't seem to be punished too much for it, so it's still up in the fray, and that's exactly where he needs to be if he wants to deny either of these finalists.
Yeah, and I mean, with how well Josh and Nayko have been running this map, it is going to be a tall order for him right now, though. Panda does have the lead here. Nayko and Josh, they know that if one mistake comes in from Panda, that'll leave the both of them. Oh, Nayko almost clipping the checkpoint there, but he got lucky. Very, very lucky not to fall too far behind. He is only 4/10 away, but this is bad news for him if Josh is able to find a way around Panda. Panda everything right now as he is getting reeled in. He does make the touch. Josh promoted to first. Panda is going to go into third. However, Nayko is waiting in the back. He knows that Josh could make a mistake, but it might be unlikely. We are getting into the end here as much as you dare go wide, but Josh comes out one way and gives the other. Up the wall we go, and Josh, first time of asking, will get the job done here on Goldilocks Zone. You gotta feel for Josh, and especially for Panda, or sorry, not Josh, for Nayko and Panda, rather, as they will have to go into that lower bracket. But Richie and Josh through to the upper bracket finals, and a chance, of course, at grand finals, which does mean the possibility of, if they somehow get 1 and 2 in this entire tournament, automatically being granted access to top 64 for XP Evo next month.
Possibly, yeah, and that's the big prize that everyone is, of course, playing for. The money, is nice, I'm sure, but
yes.
You really want the XP Evo because that's even bigger money, You get a little bit now and a lot more later, potentially. I feel like at the caliber of this play, if you're getting the free ride into the 64 from Gravity Break, there's a pretty good chance you might be making it into the money for XP Evo. So you just kind of expedite that process. You don't have to go through all the extra rounds in the very beginning.
Yeah, I think it is also good because that does give you a little bit extra practice. So while, the maps haven't been released yet, it should be hopefully soon.
Import, get on it.
Yeah,
I saw you in chat earlier.
I saw the Monka S. No, but if you're in top 64 already, you don't have to go through the qualifier because anything can happen there. You don't have to fight through top 128. That extra time might be exactly what you need. So while everyone else is stressing and playing, you're just there making sure that your lines are cleaner than they were yesterday. So with Josh and Richie, we'll see if they're able to do it. Of course, there are some other people we have to worry about getting up to that point. But folks, we are going to take a short break here. When we come back, we are going to get on our scuba gear and dive into lower bracket from there.
Not yet.
If you lose, not yet. No, upper bracket?
Upper bracket finals.
Upper bracket finals. Don't listen to me ever, but what you should listen to is keeping it locked to get yourself something. We are going to take a short break. When we come back, upper bracket finals. That'll set us up the first half for grand finals. Don't go anywhere. We're back in just a few.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are just about ready to start the upper bracket finals. 2 players will be making it into grand finals. Wait. Right next to me, Legion will find his way back home shortly, but it's all right because you don't have to stare at that for too long. We should be getting in game in just a brief moment here as we get into the starting on me. And normally I'd say this map is quite chaotic, but in all honesty, all 4 of these players have shown their prowess thus far. I mean, Richie has the world record on it, which is 53.998. So really 54, anything is very fast. 53 is when we start freaking out, realistically. And currently, all 4 players all 3 players besides eLconn are right next to each other. Josh finding an early lead. Richie not too far behind, and Ratchet trailing just by a little bit. So those top 3 keeping it pretty close. You might have been able to see eLconn flying off to the left side of the screen a moment earlier, now to the right side as he should be able to finish the map with a 15-second timeout, but he's relegated down to 3 points, barring a catastrophic error from one of these players here, which Ratchet certainly does make. It actually did Richie as well. Yes, okay, Richie is also in the mud. Never mind, he's just hitting the wood now, so I don't know where he found another crash, but he should still finish. Aim, thank you. Okay, 3 points. Clean. Nice time. I'm sure he meant from Josh. I didn't actually catch his time because that victory was a given. That was a 54.1. Jeez, that's fast. That's about within point 0.2 of the world record. Actually, like 0.14-ish of the world record. So that's extremely fast time there from Josh. eLconn keeping it clean this time around, so he should be able to get a few more points, especially with Richie pulling up the rear. But the other three are within a couple of milliseconds of each other, so it's going to be a tight battle for that 10-pointer. Of course, this is only the first map, but getting an early lead here can pay dividends pretty well later on. Josh, once again, in that leading position. Although eLconn takes a very interesting line through the dirt, actually gained him a little bit of time. eLconn not quite able to keep fourth gear. I've only seen a few players do it over the course of the bracket, most of them yesterday, but it saves a lot of speed. eLconn doesn't quite have enough to overtake Josh. That's going to be yet another within 1 millisecond of his previous time. Admins, Nick, can we check him, PC? And, well, we are now sitting at Josh, 2 for 2 here on Mesosphere. Ratchet and eLconn doing decent in terms of points, about half of that. And Richie had about 7. Legion, what's your take on all this?
I mean, my prediction.
Keep it clean.
Nah, you're good. I just pulled away a little bit longer than I should have. I apologize. No, I mean, I don't know if you dropped predictions. I don't know if I know my prediction. We talked about it in the break. Yeah, I said eLconn and Ratchet, and I mean my predictions are a little bit off. That's all right. Josh is coming from his, I'd say, shaky last match. Having him up in the lead right now by about 10 points is good for him. Richie, I think Richie might be a little outclassed here in this match. I think he's got a lot more work to do comparatively compared to the rest of that. Oh, Richie's got some speed, but Josh has a little bit more. 100th of a second separates him. Josh says, hey, that's a really cool first, but I'd like it a little bit more than you. Josh had a much better line, gained just a little bit more speed out of the corner. My God. All right, we're kicking on all cylinders, boys. Let's go.
I don't know what got into Josh all of a sudden, but he decided to go fast. We were actually waiting for Josh to get into the lobby. The other 3 players were in lickety-split, and he was quite slow to get in, but, it works if you're fast in-game. You don't need to be fast in real life. That's not what the competition is in this game. Right now, all the players are actually surviving the beginning. It's like, who was that? Richie falls a little bit behind. I don't know if that was a clip or an avoid of a clip, but eLconn getting dangerously close to the little lightsaber there. But no one really making major mistakes thus far. Even Richie is getting back into the fray of things. But Josh, surprise, surprise, up in that leading spot. eLconn going for a slightly more inside approach on the dirt. And, well, coming into this, I'd say at least those top 3 are right next to each other.
Yeah, Ratchet, I think he got a little bit on the inside, so he'll lose some speed. eLconn and Josh, buddy. They're going to clash right to the end, and this time it's Josh that misses out by a little bit. eLconn picking up 10 points. That'll put him up into 23. That'll close him up to Josh, and he should be able to overtake. Yeah, him and Ratchet swap places, so while he's away from Josh by 14 points, well, the other 2 are stuck at 18, so we are starting to see a divide already. I think normally we get a few maps in and then we start seeing gaps form, but now it's just right away.
Oh god, Josh, in match chat, can I forfeit? Okay, we are going over to Ironclad, by the way, folks, if you didn't quite get the joke, but yeah, not Josh's favorite map. He just last series, if you didn't catch it, learned about the safe finishes existence. So hopefully he won't be forfeiting 3 points here and there. But I mean, all's well that ends well. He made it further along in the upper bracket, even despite a really rough Ironclad. Mm-hmm. But I mean, we'll get to see how he does this time around. We're getting into the first real round of it, and Josh, out of 40 potential points he could have gotten out of Mesosphere, he got 37. So that's pretty good. Pretty gnarly, yeah. It's not amateur hour anymore.
No, he could have had that perfect 40, but a certain Czech player had to ruin it for him. So that's why it's still almost perfect. But Ironclad, I think this will be probably the point where he will lose the lead point-wise. I know we saw it in the last match. I'm sure that he has remembered where the safe fin is, so hopefully no repeats of that
It's
round.
impossible to miss.
I know. Yeah, yep. You can't miss it. Come on, like you have to try. But now we've got a really good start here. Richie and Josh running side by side. eLconn getting into the picture now. Ratchet has lost out the most wide line there from Josh. That's not going to give him any bit of a boost. That'll put him right into last, actually, as Ratchet gets the overtake. Richie leading eLconn through to the plastic. Does eLconn have a better line that's going to gift him more speed? No, he doesn't. But Richie puts a 56-7 in, 10 points from him. That will put him away from Ratchet. Ratchet almost getting last there. That would have been devastating for him. But thankfully, he will stay closer. He's 6 points off of Richie, but it is still Josh leading by 10 here as we go into round number 2.
Yeah, but that 10-point lead could potentially evaporate in just a couple of rounds as, well, if Josh keeps getting those 3-pointers, a lot of that hard work he put in at Mesosphere might just go to waste. Granted, Blonde is still on the horizon, I believe, 2 maps away, if I understand the rotation correctly, which, yeah, he kind of gets like a free speed boost of 1 to 2 tenths on that one. Granted, eLconn has done pretty well in the past to keep up with him. Speaking of keeping up, eLconn is doing pretty well versus Richie, and actually Josh is also in the fray. Ratchet not too far behind, but
Richie's all over the place.
The previous round, yeah, Richie loses a little bit of speed there, so now it's Josh and eLconn neck and neck. You can barely even see eLconn's car if you're Josh's POV. Currently the full speed player looking to overtake. He might, but he pulls a little bit. Maintains second place, but he loses that extra 3 points that I'm sure he would have loved.
Oh my god, he risked it so much on the inside too, and you gotta respect him for that. With how close eLconn was to him, it almost felt like he had to push. Because eLconn was, I think he was reeling him in just a little bit off of the plastic before that little penalty grass. eLconn, I don't know if you caught it, but he straightened the car out so much sooner than Josh and was able to grab 4th gear a lot quicker. So I think Josh maybe felt a little bit of pressure there, and that's why he maybe pushed it a little bit too much on the inside. Great round otherwise, but yeah, he's just going to have to put that behind him and continue on. He still has the lead by 7 points over eLconn, but if this trend continues, we may have a potential of eLconn at least tying it if Josh gets last, but Ratchet's gonna say, don't worry, Josh, I'll make sure you don't get 3 points. Okay, never mind, Josh made a mistake. Ratchet could get the overtake. He does. That does leave Richie and eLconn. If eLconn gets 7th, he'll only be 3 points behind, but if Richie somehow messes up the end, he'll take the victory, but it's not gonna happen as, eLconn's gonna hit. eLconn.
No.
Oh, goodness me. From a 2nd to 4th, thankfully he didn't respawn. He knew where the safe was.
Yeah, well, hopefully the players know where the damn finish is, but either way, you have no... But, yeah, no, eLconn about 8 points behind Josh there. He could have been closing the gap just a little bit, but he even gave Josh a 1 point advantage in that round. Although Josh is kind of pulling up the rear now. Never mind. eLconn gifts Josh yet another couple points on a silver platter, as even though Josh has been struggling on these plastic turns, you can see he's really not getting that much speed out of them. Ratchet, Richie, and eLconn, when he's not getting too well acquainted with the wall, are just flying past him. In all reality, this map is very...
Ratchet.
What happened to Ratchet?
Ratchet, I think he just grazed the wall there on exit, so that just killed all of his speed and allowed Richie to get up into 1st. But Josh right now is sitting in the shadows. He's not going to go for the drift like Richie does. He tries to get a straighter line. He does pull in, but I don't think there's going to be enough. No, Richie, 10 points for 7 to Josh, 4 to Ratchet, and 3 for eLconn. If you're Josh, you're not happy with not getting 1st, but it doesn't matter because at the very least, the man who is in 2nd has been usurped, and now the point gap is at 7, 58 to 51.
Josh still in a tentative lead for now.
Yep.
And now that we're off Ironclad, that seems to be his one kryptonite per se. Which map is this? This is Goldilocks Zone. Josh has had some pretty good rounds on this map, so I'd imagine he's feeling a little bit better about his lead now. I don't think he's going to be able to run away with it as hard as he might be able to with like Blonde on the horizon, but if he can maintain at least second place, I think he's putting himself in a pretty good position coming out of this map, moving into the latter portion of the map rotation.
Yeah, I think so. It's going to be. I think he just wants to get through Goldilocks and then get to Blonde, because that's where I think he will gain the biggest advantage over eLconn, over Richie, because those are two guys who really are kind of the biggest threats to him. Ratchet's down in last with 37, so unless Ratchet is locking in immediately here on Goldilocks zone and just wins every round, I think he might not be too much of a threat. But this is a map I think we will probably see the most. I would say trading of first place. This seems to be a map that all four of these drivers are pretty comfortable on, and really every round could go any which way, unlike Ironclad, where you almost could predict how the round was going to go. So we'll see how we fare here. It is still Josh leading with 58 points. eLconn getting demoted to third because Richie has 51. eLconn with 46. 37 for Ratchet. We are just about halfway to that finalist, and we do see that first mistake coming in. eLconn, big error, so he will fall right down the grid. That leaves Ratchet. Richie, never mind, Richie clipping the inside of the hole in the road. So now it's Ratchet, now it's Josh. We are getting into the end, this uphill onto the black platform. You see some different lines, a little bit wider for Josh. He'll get some more speed. He's going to try and go straighter here on the grass, but it's not going to be enough because Ratchet, putting in a 107.79, says my line is so much better than yours. And well, you can see that there. So first blood, that first 10 goes to Ratchet, and you think, he needs that right now.
Yeah, well, now suddenly he's in striking distance for third place from eLconn. Imagine that. eLconn, despite the dominant performance in the entire bracket so far, really has the potential to be in dead last, not in like the very, very early stages of this series. I mean, we're talking almost halfway through now. Points limit again is still 120 up until we hit the grand finals, when it eventually hits 140 then. But for now, we're just going for the 120. eLconn, however, starting off about as well as he can in first place by about a tenth, give or take. Richie trailing up the rear by about 3/10 from eLconn, give or take. But realistically, these aren't any major mistakes, and there's a lot of opportunities for recovery and overtakes here. It's really when you start seeing those clips towards this latter portion of the track where you get a little bit of precision. I don't know if you call it speed tech, but tighter turns, give or take. But eLconn's maintaining his lead pretty darn well. Ratchet looking to hold on to second place, although he has to give it up to Josh, and actually fighting for third place now with Richie. eLconn keeping it clean, has a very aggressive line, but it does pay dividends. 107.69. It's about a tenth, a little bit more off of the world record.
Yeah, 4/10 separating last or third and fourth. So very close. Yep.
Never count eLconn out.
Yeah, never. He can't. He might give you like a little bit of a bait line. Say, all right, hey, oh no, I'm doing bad. Oh no, I sure hope nobody. And then he just sort of from the shadows gives you a nice little cheap shot to the back of the head, and it's like, hey, I'm here. So he's back in the fight. He's back in the picture for second place, tied with Richie at 59, but it's still Josh ahead of him at 72, and he knows that Blonde is coming up. He knows how fast Josh can be on it, so he's gonna have to watch out for that. Same with Richie, and I'll even put Ratchet in there as well. But it's been a very good start overall. It is about a tenth and a half ish separating everybody, almost getting some clips in there from eLconn, but Ratchet now a 10th from the leader, but only 300s behind, now 200s behind Josh as we close in on the end. It's 2x2, they're gonna race, and now it's gonna be a pack of 3, and Ratchet all by himself. Richie so high there, but he's not gonna clip. He will maintain the lead. eLconn might have a lunch here at the end, but it's not gonna be enough. Josh almost sniping eLconn as well, and Ratchet finishing behind. Great round from all these guys. Another 10 points goes to Richie, and it will be Josh settling for 4, so there is only 7 points between himself and Richie. The last round of Goldilocks coming up here.
That was a great round in general. It's almost criminal that Josh had such a good run and got 4th place because of it, although that was eLconn who had a very awkward line. No, that was Richie.
Oh.
Yeah, Richie, who falls about half a second behind, and even Josh is about a quarter second. Must have I don't know, tap the wall or something along those lines. It's not a very aggressive crash, but he is losing time for it. And Ratchet, crucially, has the potential to fight for that first place spot, although he had to release somewhere along the lines, and is now fighting for second place as opposed to the first he just was. Goes for a very aggressive inside approach.
Wow.
That clip doesn't really matter all that much. eLconn certainly does. Josh, somehow, some way, has found his way into that first place spot. Ratchet maintaining second place by a couple of tenths, but now he's thrown it away. He's down into fourth place. Never mind. Goodbye. Good night, dear sir. And Josh is just chilling. Despite a little bit of a shaky start to the round, he's looking like he's sitting pretty. All he needs to do is not jump over the finish. Do not. It's funny, but not right now. You want those points. He did it yesterday. I don't trust him anymore with the finish.
I feel like he has an ear in this call right now because I know the stream is delayed. It's probably through like Luray or something. He heard that. I heard him release just a little bit into the finish. So he probably thought about this. Like, oh,
I think he probably has PTSD from flying because he hit the top of the finish and flew over. Respawn. That's traumatic. Let's be real here.
Yeah. I'm sure it is. Oh god, but we go from Goldilocks to Mane. It is 10 points separating Richie from Josh, 86 and 76. And then you've got eLconn just a couple points behind with 6, Ratchet 56. Acronator, I mean, we've had predictions and all that. Could we have seen it go as back and forth as this? Because I was sort of expecting like two groups to kind of form, you know, the two faster guys, the two slower guys, and then they would, you know, fight amongst themselves. But to see how much of a sort of, I guess, rotation of leaders, I'm surprised.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think I was giving Josh enough credit for. We didn't have time to do the pre-match predictions, but Legion had predicted eLconn and Josh. I predicted eLconn and Richie, but Josh is like a very close third, and Josh has really proven me wrong right now. You know, as someone who he's only recently got right. It feels like he was kind of in that full speed bubble for the longest time. He's really showing up and really doing quite well. I know yesterday he struggled a bit with consistency, and yeah, that's thank you for the display, the educational example there, Josh. But you don't have to next time. Whereas now you have, you know, Ratchet up towards the front. But other than, you know, some minor mistakes here and there, I'd say Josh is doing pretty well. But right now, Ratchet fighting for those much-needed 10 points. eLconn and Richie don't want to give it to him. He's speed. I don't think he's going to quite be able to overtake.
Oh,
maybe.
Richie!
Not quite. But a great time all around. Ratchet minus.
I mean, maybe that's the key. Maybe you say minus at the start, and then you win the round. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not superstitious. I'm just a little stitious. But the gap from first to second maintains at 6. So Josh maybe getting a little bit of the nerves out of the way early. It's uncharacteristic from him, but we still have Blonde to play on. So I think we should be seeing Josh grabbing that finalist in Blonde. It's just a question of how many points does he come out of Mane with.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, realistically, he just needs, like 1 or 2 more decent rounds on this map to more or less guarantee that he can get that finalist for the next map. But as it were, he's got, a Czech and a German to face ahead of him to get those extra points, because right now he's staring down the barrel of 4, and even Richie is looking to overtake. This is a great round.
Oh my god.
Stakes eLconn, though. Gonna be taking away the 10-pointer, and Josh wasn't quite able to snipe Ratchet. So Ratchet actually doing pretty darn well on this map. He's walking away with 17 points out of 2 rounds so far. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it is, and somehow despite that, Josh has grown his lead, actually. It's up to 7. So only an extra point, but it's still enough. So couple rounds to go here, this round and then one more, and then we'll be moving on to Blonde. If Josh can at least tip over 100 points, and he surely will unless he gets last in the next 2 rounds, yeah, we'll probably see him. I think we'd see him through to the grand finals by the time we actually get to maybe 3rd or 4th round on Blonde, but anything can happen. Whoa, eLconn, that's not what you want to do. And Well, that's going to put him right to the back. That leaves Josh, Ratchet, and Richie to squabble over P number 1. It's slightly different lines. Ratchet's getting it a little bit better, but Josh coming back on the latter stages of that wood section, so he'll maintain his position, as does Richie. And we go into this last wood section. You see how close they're getting. Ratchet's getting very close to the walls. He's got the overtake. He has first place on his hands right now. He will go into the jump, and he will snatch 10 points away from Richie, who does snipe Josh. Josh getting overtaken by 100th of a second right at the end. We have had incredibly close rounds so far. There hasn't been a single non-close round here on Monet. This might be the equalizer track.
Quite possibly, yeah, right. You have what is essentially just like a full precision track that I think at this caliber, you can expect these players to make a lot less mistakes. You know, you've seen a few from like the wet wood section, but realistically, I don't expect these players to make too many like major mistakes in the wood, unless they're just hard sending it. But even then, it's pretty clean all around, which plays into how close these rounds have been. It's really like the one thing that's differentiating people is the wet wood. Yeah, there you go.
Josh
Richie
and Ratchet.
eLconn and Richie make it through clean. The others, less so, dare I say. But Richie trying to fight for that 10-pointer. He wants to overtake, because him and eLconn have been battling it out for a little while now for that second place spot, and actually even Ratchet has had the chance to catch up quite a ways. But eLconn looks to be in that first place spot. Got a little bit dicey there, but he maintains, and he'll take away that 10-pointer, which claws his way just a little bit closer towards Richie in that second place position. Third is definitely not where you want to be in the series.
No, not at all. And I was keeping an eye on Josh and Ratchet. That last, the entry into the last wood section where you see players really cut it close on the left side. Ratchet just clipped that, and that sent him off. So that's why, unfortunately, he was not getting ahead of Josh. But we are separated 4 points from first to third. Josh just leading Richie by a single point, 101 to 100, and then 97 for eLconn, 86 for Ratchet. And you think, hey, we're here on Blonde. I think we know how this might go. I'm just gonna take a guess here.
Yeah, right. Now I think the splits might be quite a bit closer. We even saw Richie getting quite close to Josh in a previous round of the bracket, rather. Mm-hmm. But it's usually not on the AFS part. It's usually on the grass reactor, usually on the drifts. eLconn can gain just a little bit. So we're going to have to see. As we get into Blonde, of course, Josh has shown his prowess time and time again. But is he going to be able to keep that composure? Is he going to be able to get finalist first? There is potentially a universe where he doesn't, but I would almost expect him to get there first.
Oh yeah, I mean, with what he's shown in the last few matches he's played, this has been his map, and we are getting up to the section where he does showcase that. Everybody is separated by less than a tenth. We go through the checkpoint, it goes down to half a tenth, and as we come back down, we are going to be seeing Josh not rocket to the front like we have seen before. eLconn, Richie, and Ratchet doing their homework and actually getting this full speed section nicely, and that will be one of the Frenchies. That will be Richie going right to the back. He didn't get the best drift off the dirt, or off the grass rather. Ratchet and eLconn battling it out for P1. Ratchet has a little bit more speed, but so does eLconn, and eLconn takes away 17 thousandths of a second. Josh in third, Richie in fourth. eLconn is going to take the lead here with 107 points, and that will put Josh to second, Richie to third. Ratchet, though, still in last. I don't know. I think eLconn might get finalist first at this point. He might even go through the grand finals here before Josh does.
It's quite possible, right? Like I was saying, I was trying to be cautious because I know how good these players are. They're gonna be at the level now where it's more likely that they're gonna mitigate some of the speed boost that Josh has. Now, he was a little bit faster coming out of the penalty section, leaving the FS part, but it wasn't monstrous of a speed difference, right? Oh, but Richie gonna say hello to the wall in the wrong way. Josh, however, this time, I think eLconn quite fast. Yeah, you can see he's rocketing up there, and some mistakes from Ratchet and Richie will leave them trailing behind. Less so for Ratchet, who's only about 10th away. Richie seconds, but eLconn has shown A lot of prowess in this reactor grass section, but Josh, I think, is feeling pretty hungry because he's risking it hard. Tight he was taking that turn in the wood section. I don't know. Mistake from eLconn, but that's not going to happen. 100th exactly. And eLconn at 117. He just needs to finish this next round, and he's finalist. Josh, on the other hand, needs to fight a little bit more and really to win the round in order to get finalist. Otherwise, if he gets second again, the dreaded 119.
I like to avoid that. I mean, eLconn has the luxury of being 3 points off of finalist, and the lowest number of points that we give per round is 3. So even if he doesn't win the round, he'll still be in that position. We could be seeing double finalists. Ideally, if Josh wins this round, because like you said, Acronator, if he gets second, he's at 119, and he won't have to worry about Ratchet as he does make a mistake, but he's trailing quite a ways behind Richie and eLconn, who have gotten the first sections of this map a lot better. Into the turnover and down the hill we go. We're going to see just how much Josh can pull in. Not too much. Oh, and he will make that mistake. If Richie makes a mistake, eLconn will get first. Oh, and Richie does eclipse it, but Josh is not close enough to capitalize on it, so that'll leave eLconn to drive away, getting finalist here. Josh is going to have to settle for third unless Richie messes up on the beam, which he does not. So eLconn into finalist mode for the first time here in the upper bracket finals. Keep in mind, if he does manage to win it all here, he will be going to the grand finals. Josh is going to be at 116. So there is still a chance for 119 points, but we all look towards eLconn to see if he can close it out here on Blonde.
Possibly, yeah, but as we've seen, the others really don't want to give it to eLconn, so it's been close enough as long as they're not crashing on the reactor section. I think Josh just crashed back there, so he might actually be getting the 119 unless someone else makes a bigger mistake closer here. But now Richie and Ratchet, it's going to be up to Richie.
Ratchet.
It's going to be up to Richie to play spoiler to eLconn, but we know how good he is at the reactor section, although he has somehow fallen about half a second behind, so Richie literally just needs to keep it semi-clean. Although eLconn has so much speed out of that full speed section. Josh not quite as far behind as Ratchet, so he should get finalist by the end of this, and Richie might actually be able to. He might be seeing a triple finalist deny the check from getting his easy ticket into the grand finals, and who knows, maybe they can deny him entirely from making it to the grand finals from the upper brackets, and all Josh needs to do is finish. We have triple finalists, folks.
Well, there's only one thing to do, boys. Let Ratchet win everything and we can have quad finalists, but I highly doubt that. I highly doubt that's going to happen.
Yeah, he's close, right? He's a lot closer than we've seen the underdog in a lot of these matches, but in all reality, he needs to pull out more than just all the stops in order to take these rounds. And I mean, we're going all the way back to Mesosphere. Ratchet didn't really seem to have the best of times on Mesosphere the first time around in this map rotation, so I wouldn't get my hopes up, but at the same time, I am kind of hoping for it. It would be funny, if nothing else. Maybe not so much for the other three players. They'd have a mini heart attack, but that's their problem. We want a good show.
Yep, and I mean, if Ratchet can grab 2 round wins, we'll have quad finalists. And then from there, we only have 2 more rounds left to play, actually, not potentially. But we are getting to the end of warm-up here on Mesosphere. Ladies and gentlemen, triple finalists Josh, eLconn, and Richie have all crossed the 120-point barrier. It is only Ratchet who has yet to be granted such a luxury, and already a touch from Josh that'll put him in last. And it's like, okay, he's only about 4/10 or so behind. Ratchet is really the only man right now who can deny. We could have at most 4 rounds. We could have at least 2 here on Mesosphere. But as we continue on, eLconn in the lead. Ratchet holding off Richie, but he knows he has to get around the check driver, and he's running out of corners to do it.
Well, we are guaranteed to close out this series on Mesosphere no matter what, mathematically. And Ratchet currently is in the lead. The stars are aligning for him, but his tires align on the edge of the block, and is getting their home free eLconn DNFs. Josh is like, what, half a second
Oh my
behind.
God.
Richie is your first grand finalist.
Oh, you gotta feel for Ratchet though.
Man,
I saw how wide he wanted to set up before the wood, and well, that's what happened. He fell off, and unfortunately, he is not able to deny one of our finalists. But he has another chance here.
he certainly had a good round. It wasn't just because of the mistakes. He was driving really well last time. If he can just maintain the nerves, and now he has
Oh,
some
and Josh.
opportunity. He's only fighting eLconn now, but that is a pretty tall order, let's be honest.
Yeah, it is, with the pedigree that eLconn brings to the table. Ratchet a slight touch on the dirt. He's got to keep it together, though. He knows that Josh is about a second and a half behind him. He can't allow eLconn to grow that gap anymore. He's brought it down a little bit by a couple of hundredths of a second. However, there is still plenty of map to go. He drops the gear, and now we're getting to the point where he did lose it the last time, but he knows that eLconn is not invincible. We go onto the wood. eLconn sets up wide. Ratchet comes back in, but it's not going to matter. Ladies and gentlemen, punches his ticket to the grand final. Ratchet and Josh, unfortunately, will have to settle for the losers bracket for their chance to make it to grand finals, but they still have work to do. But congrats to Richie. Congrats to eLconn for making it into the grand final. They are one step closer to that $1,000 prize pool, and of course, they are one step closer to getting the automatic in on top 64 at this year's XP Evo in Cologne.
Yeah, and well, Richie and eLconn will have a good break before they have to play once again. They're going to have probably, 2 hours, give or take, you figure?
Maybe
a little bit less. These matches have been going quite fast, which is nice. Usually it's the opposite. But but Josh and Ratchet are also going to have a little bit of a break because they're going all the way to the lower bracket finals. So they really just have one more match stopping them from making it to the grand finals themselves. But while the players enjoy their break, I think we should enjoy our own. So go to the bathroom, go get a drink, snacks, whatever you feel like, folks. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this, going to the lower bracket.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back after our little break. We are getting ready for our first lower bracket final, or semifinal rather. It is going to be Rotrex, Jaka, Panda, and Nayko all getting together in a lobby to decide who goes through. As a reminder for us and for everyone else, this match and all future matches in the event will play out to 3 winners. I also have some news from a certain Mr. Port that eLconn has already qualified to top 64 of XP Evo because of his finish in Comic-Con Baltics. So there is a possibility where second and third may go to top 64, or first and third, depending on where eLconn finishes. So just keep that in mind. But Acronator, looking at the lobby, we have had everybody here play on stream except for Jaka. So how do you think the Slovakian player will spice things up?
I have no idea, honestly. I'm not as familiar with the European scene. I generally say to the Americas, the very big name Europeans, people who've played in like the old Grand League or Challengers League and whatnot. So I don't know. I'm open to be surprised. Obviously, we've gotten a look at the 3 Frenchmen thus far in the lobby. So I can't really give a good prediction, to be honest. Nayko, I think, is going to perform really well. Rotrex, we haven't seen in a little while. Seemed to struggle against like the top tier players earlier today. Panda seemed to be struggling in general, had his moments here and there, but didn't look quite as clean as some of the others. So Jaka, there's a lot of room to fit in there and potentially steal away one of the spots for the upper bracket final, or the lower bracket finals. We already did the upper bracket. But we'll have to see,
Well, you never know. I mean, I've had some experience with Jaka, at least in Cup of the Day. I know that's not really a true indication. There have been times when I have the same lobby. I think he may be a little bit outclassed here. I would probably have to look to Nayko especially, and I think Rotrex really. Panda has sort of been one of the slower drivers, unfortunately, although this round is sort of me otherwise. But we could potentially see some upsets here as we get into the full speed section, or at least from Rotrex to ensure that he doesn't graze the wall there, but we'll see who does a better full speed. And Panda already, never mind, I was about to say coming out of the gate swinging, but he is going to tag the inside wall. That does give Nayko and Jaka a chance to battle it out first. Jaka's made it through. Nayko's had a very wonky grass section, so he will unfortunately fall behind, but I think the first round may go the way of Mr. Jaka, and it will with a 103.31 here on Blonde.
Not the fastest times we've seen so far, but I mean, when your opponents are crashing out left and right, I think Panda was on a good time right up until he won. But, if you're Jaka, if you're Nayko, you take those points. First round, they still got to shake off the jitters, maybe get back into the swing of things. As a lot of them have just been relegated down into the lower brackets, so you never know what's going through these players' minds and how that's going to affect their play. But Jaka almost immediately falling down into he got a little bit of an awkward gear, maybe an exit out of the reactor. Sand section, Panda, once again, up towards the lead for now. Can he maintain that composure, though, is a slightly different question. Jaka got a lot of speed out of that platform section, and now coming into the speed slide section seems to be relatively stable. Oh, someone rocketed up ahead. I think seems to get quite a bit of speed out of that. Looking to contest Panda for that 10 points. He got 7 last time. I'm sure he'd like to get a little bit more now. You have Jaka getting back up into the fray of things with that grass reactor exit, but Panda seems to be keeping it clean this time around, despite not looking the best in a previous series. He looks to be taking away first place, and Jaka will steal second by the skin of his teeth. Just a couple hundreds from Rotrex. He's there. He's present.
Yeah, he made a clip, or not a clip, but he fell off the beam a little bit, so that put him into last. So already, Panda and Jaka starting to maybe lay down the time here. At least on Blonde, it's been pretty good thus far. Rotrex has been struggling, has not had the best start here. I wonder how that continues as we get into the later maps, and especially when we do get 2 lower bracket finals and then eventually into that grand final overall. But this has really been Panda's map. If this was Josh's map, then this is Panda's map when Josh isn't around, because you can see how much of a gap he already has as we go into the full speed section. I mean, he's got miles between himself and second place. It really is sort of this last grass section that does tend to reel his opponents in. I think this might be his weak point, but he has held it together long enough for a lead to be established onto the wood. Nayko's looking for something. He's going to make a little bit of a dive on the inside. He's got more speed on the exit, and this should be Nayko getting a first place. Yes, it is a 102.9. Panda 500s behind him. And then it is Rotrex just beating Jaka to the line by about 300. So we are getting some very close rounds here, and only a point separates first from third.
Yeah, we're starting to see, at the very least, a little bit of a differentiation between those top 3 spots and then Rotrex trailing up the rear. It's not unrecoverable yet, but he really hasn't gotten anything better than, third thus far?
Yes, I believe so.
That's a pretty rough position to be in, especially as we get deeper and deeper into the series. If that remains to be a constant, then he just might be bowing out again. This is an elimination match. While only the top 2 are moving forward, we will play out to the top 3 just to figure out ambit points. And then next series, the prize money starts to actually get into the fray of things. But Panda, not quite as far ahead as he has been in previous rounds. And in fact, it's Nayko who is up in the lead. Jaka trying to overtake, but doesn't quite have the speed. Nayko got it better out of the reactor section. Into the grass, Nayko had a brilliant drift last round, and seems to be the case now as well, but Panda also doing better on the tech sections than steal away that second place. Rotrex once again trailing up the rear.
Yeah, Rotrex is having a very laggy start. He's missing out on a lot of crucial points here on Blonde, but thankfully we will be out of here and going on to the next map. So hopefully Rotrex can get a little bit more done here as we go to the Mesosphere. And, Acronator, I think we'll just have more of the same chaos that we have come to expect here on Mesosphere, especially when we get to the end. That wood section has decided so many rounds.
Yeah, and in particular, if memory serves, Nayko was kind of known for like really pushing the ending with a slightly different line than what some of the others were. I think eLconn was also running that line in the previous series. So we'll have to see if he still takes that wider and straighter approach. It does yield quite a bit more speed, but you give up a little bit more space in the meantime. So it's like a give and take. You need to make that judgment call and a split-second decision. But if it works, you might as well just be playing Counter-Strike with the op,
That's a really good analogy, actually. Yeah. It's very rewarding, but you got to make sure you know exactly what you're doing, because a slight misstep and you're probably going to get yelled at by some people. Thankfully, there's no teams here, but you might as well have your inner thoughts be the team. But into our first round of Mesosphere, Panda up at the front again. This seems to be a pretty comfortable spot for him, although he does have a 4-point deficit to overcome if he wants to retake first from Nayko. But those three are embroiled in combat. 7/100ths of a second, now about a tenth and some change as we get into our plastic no break for the time being. This will set us up for that wood section we were talking about. Slightly different lines, maybe a little bit wider for some, but Nayko is trying to get something done. Jocko with the overtake on Panda, but not quite. There just was. So Panda will grab those 10 points. Nayko is going to have to settle for 4, which will put him 2 points behind of Panda. We are... Oh man, this is gonna be hectic. We might see triple finalist.
The way this is going, it really is, right? Because Panda, Nayko, Jaka are all kind of getting the places, second place, third place, occasionally giving up a fourth place so that Rotrex can get into the fray, and usually third. But that latter one is really fallen behind in the points. He's now about half the points of literally everyone. They just don't want to share, right? There's plenty of points to go around, but they said no, not him in particular. Nayko currently up in the lead, Jaka trailing up the rear, but not by too much, and Rotrex still in the fray of things. I'm sure he desperately wants some of those points, but he's going to have to push it because Jaka is also trying to overtake back into that third place spot. At least gain that 1 extra point. Nayko looking for some extra speed. He might just have it. Panda, and by 18 milliseconds, a 54.24, just a couple of tenths off of world record, about 3 tenths.
I'd like to note that last round's number 1 and 2 were separated by 17 milliseconds. So we're going just a little bit wider now. So ideally we get to 19 on this round and then 20 on the next, but we'll have to wait and see. 1 point separates Nayko from Panda, 45 and 44 respectively, and then it's Jaka with 34. Nayko with that early mistake. That'll put him out of the running. He's very much out running here unless everybody else messes up. Rotrex, though, has a lot of work to do. He's got 21 points behind third place by 13, and we aren't even through 2 maps. So this is getting very tricky, and already Panda makes that mistake. He'll grab the inside, and it's not going to do anything for him because it's going to send him in the complete opposite direction. Rotrex, this is what he needs to get back into this competition. If he can hold back Jaka for just a few more corners, he will get those 10 points, but he's going to be slow out of the corner. But it is going to be Jaka making a mistake. I think he sees that. I think he knows he can take his time. Yes, he does. Rotrex, his first 10 points coming in here. Jaka's going to second. Then it's Panda and Nayko on the scene in third or in fourth. What a round. What a load of mistakes, unfortunately.
What a round. Not in the way that we usually like to see, but it did even up the scoreline for that first place battle. Nayko and Panda. Jaka trailing by just 7 points, which isn't unrecoverable, especially with how we've been seeing them play these rounds. And Rotrex kind of back in the fray of things. He's going to need a couple more rounds like that. Oh, with less mistakes and more just like fast driving, but give and take. And right now, Jaka is giving some points over to his opponents, trailing by about a half a second, give or take. And Rotrex directly in the fray of things. Hard to really say who is going to come out on top. It's really going to change checkpoint by checkpoint. But Panda currently stealing a little bit more pace off of the rest of his opponents. Goes for a much wider approach, almost keeps the fourth gear there. I've seen a few people do it, but it seems very difficult. Panda going for a more outside approach. He does have a little bit more speed, but I don't think he's going to be able to overtake first place. Nayko will steal that away. 54.4, not the fastest time we've seen, but fast enough to differentiate himself into a more solid first place instead of just a simple tie.
Yep, and with 300ths of a gap between first and third, we are really starting to heat things up here, but that'll do it for Mesosphere. On to Ironclad we go for our next map. Scoreline as it stands, 58 for Nayko, 55 for Panda, 44 for Jaka, and 35 for Rotrex. We are playing to 3 winners, so even if we get those first 2 done and dusted, there's still a chance for 1 more, and that'll send us into the losers bracket final. And the top 2 from there, if I'm not mistaken, will be going to grand final. From there, they will be fighting it out for those spots at XP Evo, top 64. We already have 2 drivers in there, so the question is, when we do inevitably get to the grand finals, do you think any of these players, what 2 of these players, if either, get to the grand final? Do you think it's Nayko, Panda, Jaka, or Rotrex? Because
Yeah,
I mean,
that's tough.
I know it really is tough. I mean,
Knowing
I could.
who's waiting for them in the lower bracket finals as well, it's tough.
Yep.
I would have to say maybe the bunch Nayko. Panda, if he keeps playing like he has this series, maybe. Jaka seems to be falling a little bit behind those top 2. But even then, it's like, are they going to be able to beat Josh? Are they going to be able to beat Ratchet? I don't know.
Yeah, with Josh and Ratchet, how well they did. Josh, of course, getting to finalists, but unable to convert it in time. And then Ratchet, who was, I think, down by about 15 points or so on finalist mode. I don't know. Oh, Nayko. I don't think the likelihood of any of these players who do get to losers finals will make it, just because of how much faster we have seen Josh and Ratchet. If anybody, you can maybe say Nayko, but that's a tall order.
Yeah, it really is. He's going to have to show up quite a bit, and well, that didn't really happen last round, as Rotrex is the one who stole away that 10 points, or much needed, by the way, and he now within striking distance, I would say, of Jaka for that 3rd place spot. And while you really want the top 2, so you're not out of the bracket entirely, baby steps. You got to take over 3rd before you can take over 2nd. It's not quite close enough to overtake both at the same time. A couple rounds ago it might have been, but right now you have Nayko and Panda up in the lead. Jaka in 3rd place, Rotrex in 4th, but not an unrecoverable distance. Only about a quarter second, maybe 3/10 now. Jaka looking for a little bit of a sharper approach, maybe trying to overtake someone. He's now battling it out with Nayko for 2nd. Panda up in the lead by his lonesome, doing decently well. Avoids any airtime, avoids the clip. He has the speed, and actually Jaka gets overpassed by even Rotrex. Didn't even notice him. He was right on top of Nayko.
I know Nayko got a little bit extra speed into the jump there, so that's why he was granted 2nd place. But 1 point separates first from 2nd. Panda, Nayko 69 to 68, and then it is a bit of a drop before you get to 3rd place of 54 Jaka and then 49 Rotrex. Ironclad is, despite not being, I'd say, one of the faster and flashier tracks, is definitely one that we have seen a wide spread of first places per round, because these guys have been practicing these maps and hunting them for however long, but it still feels like they're still searching for that extra little bit of speed, that they're not maybe entirely 100%, and that's why we are seeing some of these mistakes. They're not so much risking a corner too much on the inside, but I think it is just trying to, on the fly, grab a little bit more speed. I don't know, but we have seen a pretty clean round as Jaka makes a mistake, and he will get overtaken by Panda at the end. So unfortunate for him, but if you're Nayko, you are going to take the lead here with 78 points. So closing in rapidly on finalist.
And speaking of closing in, I mean, Rotrex is only 1 point away from third place now. Again, he still wants that second place, but baby steps, like I said before. Panda, of course, doesn't really matter first or second place right now because both of them just make it up into the upper bracket, not upper bracket, lower bracket finals. It's been a long day, folks.
Yeah.
It's been long. It all just blends together, but either way. Rotrex makes an early mistake, so he's about 3/4 of a second behind. Nayko, still in the fray of things, but by about a tenth, trailing from Panda and Jaka, looking to redeem himself a little bit for some less than stellar rounds as of late. But got three folks fighting it out for that first place spot now, and actually Nayko gets a beautiful turn over that knife's edge on the plastic. Looks to take a free 10 points away. Clips a little bit, I think, or maybe just bounced over.
No, he got lucky.
No one else is going to overtake 200ths. But he does maintain, and 10 points is his for the taking.
Panda, that line from him, just a day late and $1 short, has to settle for second. But all right, good, very good. This is really. I mean, I know it seems pointless to say, but I mean, come on, this is so close. This is such a close match. I mean, even though the point split right now is 88 to 80, 61 to 59, the rounds have been unpredictable. What was a first place one round is now last, and then it's like a second, and then it's another second, and then you're so. I don't know how these players are managing this sort of chaos and stress, but whatever they're doing is kind of working.
Yeah. And keep in mind, by this point, you think we're tired casting. We're just sitting here talking. These players are in the lower bracket. They've been playing nonstop for a couple hours now, and a couple more hours to go still. I mean, they've got matches after matches after matches until eventually they get their way to the very end of this marathon and hopefully, go for those XP Evo spots.
Yeah, I think that might be most people's ultimate goal. I know that there are probably some people who are still alive in this tournament who didn't make it to top 64. Or maybe they did, but they were so tired that they couldn't keep it going. So having that base camp, if you will, in top 64, I mean, that conserves a lot of energy, keeps you a little bit more in focus later on. Although some people are probably just here to see how far you can get. But yeah, I think that top 64 really is the ultimate prize. And of course, there's two spots available. Well, I guess there's two because eLconn's already done his duty.
Yeah, he can decide which one of the two spots he takes, I guess. Yeah, whether he wants the Comic-Con Baltics one or this one, although I don't. That's how that works.
No, he's already qualified to top 64 because of his finish at Comic-Con Baltics.
Ooh, that was a round.
That was 4,000s. Damn. Okay,
we're busy
Nayko.
Talking about eLconn, he's not even here.
Yeah, it's the grand final of the top two. So if eLconn gets first, it'll be second and third. If eLconn gets second, it'll be first and third. If eLconn finishes third, and then it's 1 and 2. So it's whatever the top two drivers are post eLconn that will also qualify to the top 64. And of course, there is some prize money to be given out. That'll be given out through Matcherino to these drivers. But we go into the next round here of Goldilocks Zone. 98 points for Nayko, starting to build a little bit of a gap for himself to Panda. 11 points, possibly seeing Nayko onto finalist here if he can keep winning the next 3 rounds.
Possibly, yeah, but that's an easier said than done task, as we saw last round was within 900ths of each other for the top 3. Realistically, it's looking like it's shaping up to be that once again. And this is Goldilocks Zone is almost what I would say is the most normal, modern competitive map of the pack.
Yeah.
It's a lot of different surfaces, a lot of turns, a couple drifts here and there. Obligatory blind uphill turn, but you gotta just go with the intuition. It looks like Nayko taking other. Are they just?
So what?
I said that the last round was about 900 separated.
It was 9,000s, not 900. It's a little close though.
Well, Either way, they're driving extremely close to each other. I think Rotrex was a little bit out of the fray in that case, but Nayko has the potential, I believe, to get finalist in this map.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what you said about Goldilocks Zone. It's the most normal. It's not too crazy. It's not too boring. It's just right. And unfortunately, Nayko has not gotten that corner just right. As he grazes the wall, he'll go down to last, so that does leave Xhaka, Panda, and Rotrex. You can see, if you look at the scoreboard, Xhaka and Rotrex are in the 60s, while Panda is almost at 100, and obviously Nayko's at 108. There is, I believe, one more round after this, so the potential of Nayko still getting finalist is on the table. He just has to make sure he wins this next round, because at the very least, he's already on for 111, and he won't be, if he gets anything less than first, well, he won't be at 119, but I think 118 at the most is probably pretty close. But at the end of the map here, Rotrex goes very high, doesn't touch. Somehow Xhaka and Panda grab those reactor boosts at the same time. It's a crisscross, and Panda gets to the line first.
Oh,
Savage 888. It's a tie, but at the checkpoint, it was Panda who was ahead, and that's what we go off of. Panda getting 10 points. That'll put him 7 behind Nayko. But still, the opportunity for Nayko to become finalist as we go on to the next map, which I'm going to guess is probably going to be Monet, is likely. And with the mistake from Panda at the start early, that is currently one less player to worry about.
Right now, yeah, Nayko is up in the lead. Again, he does need first place to get 2 finalists. I don't think it's possible for him to get the dreaded 119. So at the very least, he's spared from that. I guess technically he gets 2 third places in a row, but that doesn't seem quite as likely the way he's been playing thus far.
No.
Xhaka and Rotrex trying to stave off Panda, who is slowly and surely climbing his way back, but Rotrex bows out of the round basically entirely. I doubt he's going to get anything beyond place here. Xhaka, on the other hand, looking to deny Nayko, instead maybe give him a 118. With a solid 7 points in second place, Xhaka looks to be in the lead, but as Nayko's line go give him a little bit more speed, it just might. Xhaka might need to do it against Reactor, but he's going to get the chance. He tries to cut in early, but 33 milliseconds say otherwise. That is going to be Nayko closing out Goldilocks Zone in finalist, and Panda on 108, so he's still got a little ways to go.
Yeah, I don't think Panda can get, I mean, depending on math, he could get 119. It'd be very tricky, but yeah, we've got finalists all ready for one of the drivers. It is going to be Nayko. It is Monet to be our next map. Tech and Precision come together on this rather gray-looking track. So, Acronator, we have a divide. We have Xhaka, we have Rotrex, who are kind of on their own. We have Panda, and we have Nayko. Is there, once, if Nayko can just grab a win here and just say it's, it's done, do Xhaka and Rotrex deny Panda long enough to go to finalists and win themselves, or do you think that Panda will get it done?
I think Panda's gonna pull out all the stops on this map. Thinking back to the previous series we saw him today, he was really good on this map, right? It was right up his wheelhouse. Very techy, very precision based. Xhaka and Rotrex aren't playing bad, but I think we've already seen enough to say that Panda is pretty comfortable on this kind of map. I mean, currently he's fighting with Nayko for that first place spot. Xhaka not too far behind, but he is going a little bit wide. Someone clipped there. That's actually Nayko, so we do have plenty of opportunities to deny the finalist. Have to end a case. But Nayko's going to be fighting tooth and nail to claw back every single thing she lost there from the small clip.
Yeah, it's a lot, though, right now. The gap is closing up. Nayko's done a great job of actually reeling these guys in. Rotrex hot on his tail, so close on the inside. How does he not touch it? There goes Rotrex, and there goes Xhaka. It is just Panda ahead. Panda just has to hold it together, and he will deny Nayko the first attempt at finalists, and that is exactly what is going to happen. So 118, all Panda has to do now is finish. As we wait for Rotrex to get the finish correctly, he does. But Nayko, first time around here on Mane, not going to work out. We saw that clip early, and while it was a great recovery drive, it just wasn't enough.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do really to gain time here on this map. If your opponents are driving the line correctly, then you really just have to hope for a mistake, and Panda wasn't really keen on clipping anything in that round. This round, however, anyone's guess. Nayko starting off in the pack alongside everyone else, but he looks to be differentiating himself a little bit. No, actually, he had a good wood exit, but seems to not really matter too much. The wetwood section can be a little bit treacherous, but Panda, once again, seems to be getting the better of it. Nayko just trailing behind by a little bit.
I'm absolutely loving Nayko's line there out of the wetwood. It's so tight on the inside, and yeah, it loses time, but my God, how about that driving from Panda and from Nayko at each other's throats here as we go into the drift. So Nayko gets it so much better, and I think that might do it. Nayko's pushing, but here comes Panda back. It's going to be a lunge to the line, but it's not going to be enough as 58-55-5 is going to secure a spot in the losers bracket finals. Panda wanted something right at the end, but there just wasn't enough. And I think that uphill with the plastic is what did it in. We've seen it happen time and time again, and this time it's no different.
Great round from Nayko. He really sent it, and even Panda. What, a couple milliseconds separating the two of them. But now, Panda doesn't have Nayko to worry about, and he already shown that he doesn't have to worry too much about Jaka and Rotrex. So, can he pull off last round again? Now he doesn't have to worry about overtaking anyone, in theory. Of course, he needs to keep it clean. It doesn't look super clean, even had to release a little there, but Jaka still on his tail. He does not want to let Panda get out of control. But thus far, keeping it stable. Panda still in the lead. Jaka going for a very inside, and he's looking to overtake, and he might have position to do so, but his lines need to be pristine, which they just might. Panda a little bit wide there on the wood exit. Allow for Jaka to give Panda a taste of his own medicine and deny the finalist.
Yeah, but Jack is still 20 points off of finalist mode, and then Rotrex all the way down there at 83. That is quite the hill to overcome, if you will. But Panda will have another chance here at getting finalist on Mane. That would be great. That would be a lot less to worry about. But yeah, with Nayko out of the way, like you said, one less person to worry about. Panda did really well. It was just that last drift into the wood, and there's the early touch. I think Panda might be out of this. It's going to be 1.3 seconds, so somehow, someway, Rotrex and Jaka have to make 1.3 seconds worth of mistakes. I mean, Panda's doing a great job of keeping it clean. Oh, he's getting some airtime there. And it's just a little bit, very close on the inside. Yeah, I think Panda might be out of this round. But what a battle we're having right now between Rotrex and Jaka, right on each other, less than a car between them. Now it's about half a car on top of each other, but we are getting into this last drift. Jaka and Rotrex, the drift goes great for both of them. Jaka's got a little bit more speed on exit and has a much neater line on the way out. So Jaka will be grabbing another 10 points, cuts it down to another 10. Only 10 points remain before Jaka gets finalist. Rotrex settles for 7. That's 30 points to finalist, and Panda still struggling with this map.
I think that may have been the last round on this map, though. But if you are Panda, I think you might start sweating a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. Because the nerves are going to start kicking in. Jaka's one round win, one denial away from getting finalist himself.
Yep.
And now we're on blonde. Now, Panda did really well on this map previously, but Jaka also did really well on this map. Not quite as well as Panda was. He ran away with, I think, like 3 round wins last time we were here.
I believe so. It might have been 2.
But either way, Panda got a lot of points out of this map in the previous attempts. But now it's a different game, right? Nayko's not there to deny. Jaka, instead, has the potential to. He was also in the fray of things. Who knows? Might be seeing a little bit of a dark horse, a little bit of an upset, dare I say. But that's all going to be up to Jaka as we get into this first round of Blonde.
Yep, and all eyes on Panda for this one. He has to win this map here. He has to win the round here. He does not want to give Jaka a chance to get finalist. But the thing is with Jaka, he does have an advantage over Rotrex on this map. So he knows that if he makes a mistake, it's very unlikely that Rotrex is actually able to come back and deny. So we get into the drift. Rotrex losing more time. Panda setting up very wide. Doesn't clip the wall. We go into the full speed section. Speed drifts are going to look really, really good for both of these guys. The turnover goes beautifully. Xhaka with a little bit more speed onto the penalty grass, but not enough to close up. Panda carrying so much speed. It seems, oh, they're both going to clip, and he hits the wall. Xhaka's now in the lead. That gives Rotrex a chance to deny, but he's got to get around Xhaka here. He's only got a couple of corners left to do it, and he's going to hit the wall. No. Xhaka's off and away. Panda can't get to it, and Xhaka will go to finalists. 2 finalists, potentially 1 round to decide it, and Rotrex, oh, poor Rotrex, he could have denied.
It gets scary for Panda now.
Oh,
because
yes.
You had plenty of opportunities, and Xhaka's been denying non-stop. He has the pace. We've seen it before. But does he have the composure? That's a completely different question, because I don't think you can rely on... Like, you want to rely on Rotrex, because if he starts winning rounds, then maybe... But methinks that it might end here on this round, barring a catastrophe, which would be funny, but maybe less so for the 2 people with red numbers in the...
Oh, Rotrex, he's made that mistake, and now it's the same thing as last time, Acronator. It's Xhaka, it's Panda 1 and 2, but the problem is Xhaka is so much further behind this time around. Panda knows that there is a mistake that he made. He avoids it this time, doesn't clip either wall. Xhaka getting back into this. He's trying to get as close as he can. He's cutting these corners as tightly as he dares. Panda has a little bit more leeway to work with. How does Xhaka not touch the wall there? But into the drift, he's going to go wide. Xhaka has to release. Panda into the finish, and Panda's done it after so many rounds, so many tries. He finally gets it done. He can wipe the sweat off his brow, and Xhaka, a valiant effort. Great try to get back into this, but unfortunately, you see how it ends. We do have to play 1 more round here, and hopefully it is Xhaka just doing what he needs to do, so that way he can also finally rest along with Rotrex.
Yeah, now they're just playing for ambit points, which potentially gets them into the easy route into, I almost said GDEX, into XP Evo. Wrong fan. Much love. But, yeah, the ambit points are less of a guarantee to get into that XP Evo top 64. But still, you want to fight for it. Rotrex has a ton of speed coming into this section. I think Xhaka just had a little bit of an awkward drift there leading into it. But he has quite a lot of speed coming into the penalty section. I think he has that down on lock and key. But he still needs to fight it back from Rotrex, because he's just shy of 3 digits, and that's not too far off from finalist itself. I'm sure if you're Xhaka, you really do not want to see any more. You want to get off of a blonde and call it there. But it looks like Rotrex is going to be able to deny at least this one, get up to 108 himself, and I think we have 1 more round of blonde.
No, I think that was our last round of blondes, because Nayko had to come through. No, okay, it's not. This is the last round of blonde. So,
caster math.
Yep, we don't do math, we just talk. So, Rotrex is at 108. Best we can hope for is 118. But if Rotrex wants to get some more points than Xhaka, he has to do nothing but win from here on out. 1 mistake is all it's going to take to completely cut this out, and there's the mistake, and Rotrex is gonna DNF. He knows that Xhaka has the pace. He knows that Xhaka has been so consistent on this map. You hate to see it, but that's just how it's gonna happen. So for Xhaka, it is just a victory lap at this point. He doesn't have to worry about anything. He can make the mistakes. He could even take the safe finish, something we haven't seen in so very long. But you gotta feel for Rotrex. Got so far, and just that little mistake, that drift on the platform before we actually get close to the full speed section. What a legend! What a legend! We love it. No, but that drift, we've seen so many players fall off there and completely throw their rounds away. So I can't say I'm all too surprised about it. It's unfortunate, obviously, but that's just how it's going to end.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, you're already out of the bracket. Again, you're just playing for ambit points and just a few at that because Rotrex is now the lowest ranked player in this tournament who gets ambit points. So it's not a ton compared to, the higher ranking players. But at the very least, it's something. He walks away with some amount of prize, I guess, even if it's not money, which, well, at the very least, the two finalists from this match are gonna have that opportunity because the top 6 get some amount of prize money. But we're gonna have to wait a little bit to see that. We're gonna take a short break to let everyone take a breather, especially after that match. It's getting higher and higher stakes as we. So maybe you need to take a breather as well if you're some of these players that are still in it. So don't go anywhere. Go get a drink, go to the bathroom, whatever you need. So we'll be right back with the losers bracket finals after this short break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the penultimate match here at Gravity Break. We have the low bracket finals. 2 of these players will be sent home with some ambit points and some prize money. But the other 2 will get the opportunity to go face eLconn and Richie up in the grand finals. And, well, for 2 of these guys, it might be a grudge match or rematch, as it were, if they get that opportunity. But they're going to have to fight their way through the rest of the field in order to get that opportunity.
Yeah, looking at just the match we came off of with Panda and Nayko, that one came down. That could have been Panda's very quickly, but obviously we saw what happened. Nayko got it together, gathered the points, got through to first, and then Panda shortly thereafter. It didn't really matter ultimately, but you gotta imagine what Panda's mental looks like. However, coming into this match, we have Ratchet and we have Josh. These 2 guys have had a chance to breathe. We did give Nayko, he did request a bit of a retrieval from the match he just did, so obviously we gave it to him. But you got to think, in terms of rest, having Josh and Ratchet have a much longer rest. You have to think how much more prepared they might be for this match compared to Panda and Nayko.
Yeah, it's always a little bit of a question mark there as to like whether people perform better with a little bit of a break or perform better because they're still warm or maybe they're just worn out. It really depends on the person. In like team esports, it can vary depending on the individuals within the team. In this case, it's all just individuals. So it's really hard to say, right? We're going to have to wait and see if, Josh and Ratchet are not performing quite as well as we saw them a few rounds ago when they were, still warm versus Panda and Nayko, who maybe like get in a lead. Then we can break ended up hurting Josh and Ratchet more, but otherwise it's really hard to say. In terms of predictions, I don't know, man. I think the easy one is just to say like, hey, they're likely to just have a rematch of the upper bracket finals, but again, we're gonna have to wait and see.
Yeah, I think for me, I would probably go with, at the very least, if you want one of the upper bracket guys to go back up with, into the grand finals, I would say Josh probably has the best chance. He's shown that he has been very consistent. Yes, he's had some mistakes here and there, but overall, he has been very solid. He's performed, about when he needs to. So I think Josh has a very good chance of making it back. For the other driver, though, I don't know. I'm if depending on map rotation, how the points get distributed throughout this match, I feel like we could see Panda go through to the final. Although if not him, then Nayko would be my call.
Yeah, it's hard to say, right? Because Ratchet has been a little bit shaky at times, but he's also performed really well at times. So it really depends on which Ratchet we see. And currently he is in the middle of the pack, so decent starting. Panda trailing up the rear by just a little bit, and actually as we were spelling our doubts about Ratchet, he's currently almost overtaking for first place, so maybe he just entirely proves us wrong and gets the revenge in the grand finals.
Yeah, but it's the first round. You can't call an entire competition off of that, but it's like a train there. It's like they're on rails with Josh and Ratchet and Nayko, and poor Panda, the caboose that's left behind, but Nayko makes a touch on the inside. Now it is just Josh versus Ratchet for that first place. How does Josh not touch on the inside or the outside? But I think Ratchet has just a little bit more speed into the jump, and he will pick Josh off 56,000 or 56 milliseconds. And it is Nayko and Panda. Ratchet, like you said, Acronator, maybe starting to prove us wrong a little bit. Again, I said first round, but to go from third to first and being very consistent in that last ditch effort has awarded him with that first 10 point.
For now, yep, but also keep in mind it's the first round of the first map, so don't get too excited quite yet, but there is a little bit of excitement allowed, per se. Every one of the players currently neck and neck with each other. Start not super treacherous, but Nayko currently up in the lead. He performed rather well on this map last series, but actually Ratchet loses quite a bit of speed coming out of that wet wood section. Not exactly the most traditional style that you see in competitions, only just recently being adopted into it, but Josh looking for all the speed possible, and I mean just rockets out of the wood section there, but Panda and Nayko do not want to give him any quarter. Josh going very inside on the approach there, but I don't think he's going to be able to overtake. He might be relegated to third as Nayko crashes, still manages to finish. But it was dangerously close there.
That was, yeah, I saw the hit on the inside, and there was just enough of a gap between first and second to ensure that there were going to be no position swaps right at the end. But after just a couple of rounds, we're already separated by 4 points here. Nayko making the most of it. Outside of somebody getting a little bit too much airtime, I think we've had pretty close rounds, and I suspect the rest of the rounds here will go just the same. Although if somebody, clips or falls off or does something they shouldn't, I think we will have the toss-up of rounds as Josh decides to tell me to shut my mouth and go back to stop predicting. Same with Nayko. So it is Panda and Ratchet right now, and now it's just Ratchet. Okay, never mind. I'm sorry for saying anything about clean rounds or something to that regard. Yeah, Akinator, can you say something to save me from this?
I'm just waiting for Ratchet to also mess up to make it a full
I
XTD
swear to God.
round,
I swear to God.
No, it's
Thank
clean.
you, Ratchet.
It's clean.
Thank you.
We're good. Josh should be able to finish with points. 3 points, but, points.
Point.
Better than none. He's going to be relegated down to last for the time being, but, Ratchet, on the other hand, rockets up to first place for now. 5 points separating him, and as long as he can stay at least in the middle of the pack, then he'll stay in the lead points-wise for quite some time. But this should be the last round on Monet, I think. Right?
Yes, it will. Last round.
Yeah. So at the very least, they will be freed from this this prison of precision, so to speak.
Well, we'll see if they can avoid the warden then. In that case, he's all over the place, it feels like, with this map. But after the first couple of corners, it's been a great start here. Only a tenth and a half separates first from fourth. Josh in the lead, Panda at the back. Panda's had a mistake, so he's going to open that gap up almost a full second to first place. But Ratchet, Nayko, and Josh is your 3 drivers who are currently fighting for that 10 points. We are going to get into this last woods section. Josh gets it well, but Ratchet gets it even better. Nayko with a little bit more speed. We are going on to the transfer, into the jump, and there is going to be just enough for Ratchet to pick Josh off at the line. 200ths of a second from those 2 drivers. Nayko settling third, and of course it is going to be Panda bringing up the rear. How about that for a finish?
We went into this series kind of spelling our doubts about Ratchet, but he's the one who walked away with 33 out of 40 possible points, and everyone else is in the 20s still, and in the low 20s if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so I don't know, maybe he heard us. Maybe he has the stream on low on his second monitor. But a great showing from Ratchet. Of course, I think if they're writing map that he's going to excel at, it's probably going to be Monet, as opposed to some of these other less tech-heavy tracks, less precision-based. Because you think of Ratchet, you think of more, tech. Same with Panda, I guess, and he came out of that last place, so it happens sometimes. But at the very least, we know what we know based on what is currently in front of our faces. And I mean, Ratchet's doing good. Let's see if he can continue on with that. The warm-up is done. We're heading over to Goldilocks Zone.
First and second are separated by 11 points. Then it's 12 to third and 13 to fourth. So the current top spot is very much obvious, but the second place spot is a little obscured by the points. But into the first round of Goldilocks zone, everybody has had a fantastic start. It's Ratchet who's gotten the worst of them all, though less than a tenth behind, although we can see gaps grow and shrink rapidly throughout every single section of this track. Panda still leading the way from Nayko, Josh, and Ratchet as we make the jump onto the plastic, the reactor, the 180 to get back onto this reset to continue further into the zone. We get, very close there from Panda, almost getting a clip there on the wall, but luckily is able to get away from that one and almost clipping the light pole as well. Panda's really starting to push this as everybody gets bunched up once again. We are going onto this uphill right. See how wide these drivers are gonna go. We are getting into the finish. Grab the reactor booth, go up. I think this might be the round for Panda. Yes, it is. Ratchet getting beaten out by Josh, 4 milliseconds between them. And Nayko, less than a tenth. It's a great round for everybody. Very quick, right to the point. And Ratchet maintains his lead only by 7.
You know, maybe we just need to start doubting these players for them to just prove us wrong, because Panda jumped from last place to third or second even in the blink of an eye. Although I say that, and I wasn't even really mentioning him all that much, and he already clipped, so he's about half a second more that now behind. But Ratchet doing pretty good. Josh trailing up by about a tenth, give or take. Nayko in the fray of things. But okay, Ratchet, I that's not a caster curse. I didn't even say his name yet until after he crashed. But Josh is clean so far. Let's see if that curse kicks in. But Nayko still into the fray of things. At the very least, he's pretty solidified with that 7 points in second place. Even if Josh keeps the remainder of his run quite clean, and he doesn't really seem to be too shaky right now. Seems to be doing perfectly fine. And I mean, we're coming up to the finish now. Other than, his overzealous finishes, shall we say, where he almost decides to bounce off the finish. Yeah, he's doing fine. That was nice and clean, nice and easy. 107.9, decently fast. 107 anything is pretty darn good. World record's 107.555. So, it's a good opportunity for Josh to kind of get back into the fray of things. And it's still Ratchet in the lead, but that lead is starting to shrink.
Oh yeah, that lead has come right down to 2 points, 6 to Panda, and then 8 to Nayko. So, depending on how this round goes, we could be seeing Ratchet losing the lead, but look at how wide he went on the dirt off the bat, setting the tone. He is hungry for some more points. He wants to make it to grand finals. He knows what's on the line, and he wants to get there first. The sooner he closes this out, the more time he has to relax compared to his opponents. But as we carry on, Nayko has not had the best round so far. He's gotten about 1.6 to the top here, and he's currently on the outside looking in. Panda running in third right now. Very close there for Josh and Ratchet. Nayko now making a mistake. He was coming right back up on the back of the pack, but a couple of wall hits is going to do him in. So Josh and Ratchet squabbling over first place. Panda, in the meantime, is slowly finding some time, and as I say that, he runs over the hole in the ground. He is going to lose a little bit of speed, but it's not going to be enough to take him completely out of this. Josh with the overtake on Ratchet into the jump, and Ratchet's going to ping pong around it, and from 10 points to 7, Josh picks up what Ratchet lost, and that is how that round ends. Panda and Nayko in the background. Nayko having to lick his wounds there just to make it to the finish line.
Well, those 3 points lost are probably stinging a little bit, but at the very least, it didn't. With all the reactor shenanigans, but I'm sure Ratchet would have liked to get that round win and solidify his lead a little bit more, giving Josh a 1-point lead now. I believe the first time really anyone's been leading over Ratchet since that first map ended. But even then, Ratchet's been very consistent on this map. He's been doing pretty darn good, whereas the rest feel shaky depending on the round almost. Josh is doing pretty good right now, battling with Ratchet once again for that top spot. Someone clipped the hole there on the reactor, so they lose a little bit of speed. I think it was Panda, but Obviously, he's catching back up, so it didn't matter all that much. Reactor does wonders for your speed, as it turns out. Josh going very inside, actually had to go a bit wider after the pole just to avoid getting the clip. Ratchet goes on two wheels briefly, that's how hard he's pushing that turn, and Josh falls further behind, actually fighting to not be in that last place spot, whereas Ratchet has stayed steady and stoic in that first place, regaining what he lost last round. 10 points with a new match best time, 107.7. We're getting closer and closer to record in rounds, but I think that might have been the last round of.
Yeah, that was the last one. So we're gonna change gears here and go on to our next map, which I'm gonna say is Ironclad, if my math is correct. No, it's Mesosphere. I always forget Mesosphere. You know, it's, I don't know, maybe it's just some defense mechanism my brain's doing to ensure my sanity. Because every time we get to the next map, it's not what I think it is. But looking at the point split though, Ratchet at 57, Josh at 51, 45 Panda, 39 Nayko. Ratchet is proving us wrong right now. He's showing that he does deserve to be in grand finals, and Josh is having a little bit of trouble, but you got to keep in mind both him and Ratchet have come from the upper bracket into the lower bracket. They have had some breaks, and of course Panda and Nayko, just besides the 5 minutes we had before we came back, they've been playing nonstop. They've been marathoning this thing since they've got to, I'd say basically since they started playing.
Yeah, more or less. I think there might have been one round where they didn't have to play earlier today, but going non-stop. So that exhaustion does kick in, and what's that, Nick? Panda? No, that was actually Ratchet. Okay, well, it didn't really seem to matter all that much because he's right back into the fray of things. Place and maybe half a second away from the top two, Nayko and Josh battling it out. Panda gave away that third place spot to Ratchet, but Nayko looking to make a little bit of a statement. You know, he's been struggling on Goldilocks Zone. But now, currently in that second place position, Josh doesn't want to give away first just yet, but we know that Nayko likes to risk the ending here on Mesosphere. So we'll see. He doesn't quite keep fourth. I don't think Josh did either, but let's see the lineup here. Nayko goes very inside. Doesn't quite have the speed. Josh, if anything, he's good at keeping speed and will maintain that 10-pointer.
Yep, and he's actually going to be tied with Ratchet at 61, with Ratchet getting third. That does put them even, and it does put 2 points between Panda and Nayko, 48-46. On the wood, on the exit, with how that all played out, there really wasn't much of a speed difference between first and second. I mean, it looked like there could have been for a moment, but realistically, there was I don't think there was a chance in the world of any, overtakes, any snipes to be had. So we'll have to continue on. But Nayko hitting that wall again, trying to push that dirt as wide as possible, and that's what can happen. So Ratchet will be our viewpoint for this current battle here, trying to get the overtake on Panda, and he is actually getting that done. He is playing off of Josh's lack of pace and just that last little section there to get closer. Nobody's holding fourth gear, but that's to be expected now. Josh and Panda going through. Josh goes wide, and he cuts back down. Panda's having to swivel all over the place, and somehow he holds it together, avoids getting sniped, but Josh, that wide setup was perfect. It basically straight lined him right into the finish.
Yeah, that's the dangerous part, man, about having such a great full speed player on a map like this. Tell him to conserve speed or find it, and that's just what they do as easily as breathing, honestly. So it's like, yeah, you want me to find it speed as humanly possible? Got it. And he just zooms away. Sometimes they're a little bit too far behind and they can't overtake, and that's how you see these really close rounds that ultimately that close. But in that case, it's just like a mini blonde effect almost, where it's like, yes, full speed, and he's Currently, though, you do have the pack relatively close. Panda trailing by just a little bit, but I mean, this is probably the cleanest round we've seen so far, getting almost to the finish. Again, no one really keeps the gear there, but I've seen maybe 2 or 3 times that happen at all. Ratchet, a very aggressive line, and Josh a little bit more speed, but there's just not enough track. And Ratchet will take the lead back once again. No, they're tied once again, actually. He's trading blows left and right and really giving nothing to Panda and Nayko.
I mean, I'm not surprised though. The two teammates from Shift, yeah, I think that makes sense. And it's interesting to note we still haven't played on Blonde yet, so we'll see how those two fare, how those rounds go, and just how much damage they can inflict on each other and on their opponents. As we do see an early touch though from Josh, so he's gonna go down to last. He got a weird gear up, so that's gonna lose him just a little bit more time. But right now, Panda and Nayko, they need some points. They're trying to catch up to Ratchet and Josh as best they can, but they've got to fight amongst themselves as Panda runs it a little bit wide onto the grass. So he's out of this one. It's all on Nayko to deny, and he clips the dirt road on the entry, gifting it over to Ratchet. Says, hey, I'm not using it. You can have it. Don't even worry about it. So Ratchet's in the lead now. Nayko's going to try and recover as best he can, but he's actually going to take the end quite safe. Josh got an overtake on Panda, and I thought he had a little speed compared to Nayko, but he was so far back it didn't really matter. So Ratchet being gifted first off the backs of his teammate and the other two guys.
On a silver platter, dare I say. That is just ridiculous. Like the second you mention, oh, he's the
Yep.
He's in the distance rear view mirror. It's all done and dusted, but not going over to Blonde quite yet. In fact, I think that might be one of the last maps in this rotation, if I had to guess, based on what we're seeing, because Ironclad is next, and, well, everyone should know where the finish is.
Yep.
That's all I'm going to say.
Josh learned.
Josh learned. It's relevant.
I saw somebody in chat earlier that said Josh is in Shift. They don't know what a safe fin is, or something to that effect. Because I guess they're just so good they don't need the safe fin. But yeah, I'm sure everybody's learned. 88 for Ratchet, 82 for Josh, and then it is going to be 59 and 59 both for Panda and Nayko, folks. We are into the first round here of Ironclad, and we could potentially, depending on how these rounds go, maybe see a finalist already be named by the time we get through these 4 rounds. But what a task that's going to be with this level of competition.
Oh, definitely. I think even Nayko and Panda are going to make it difficult for Ratchet and Josh to get those 4 wins that they would need, and it would need one of them to get 4 wins back to back. You couldn't have them trading anything whatsoever. But actually, no, I think Ratchet could manage with a 2nd place and then 3 firsts. But who knows? He's in 1st place right now. I don't know where he found that speed. I'm just going to say it was a drift. He's one of the more quintessential tech players here, him and Panda. But as I say that, Panda and Josh are fighting up in the front. Josh going for a very straight line through the grass section.
Panda.
I'm not sure if he has more speed. No, he doesn't. 56.8. That sounds fast. 56.57 is world records. Kind of fast.
I watched it so that when it dips to go into the left, Josh got the smallest amount of airtime. Or no, sorry, no, it wasn't Josh. It was Panda that got a little bit of airtime that brought Josh in, but the line was just a little too wide. And then, of course, Josh clipping the platform at the end. I think that's probably what did him in. So, unfortunate, but that is how that round's going to go. It is still 3 points separating first from second. And then Panda's got a 6-point gap down to Nayko. From here, top 2 go to grand finals. We'll hand out some ambit points. However, the bottom 2 we will be saying goodbye to, and currently it is looking like it could be Nayko and it could be Panda unless they're able to find something here as we get towards the end of Ironclad. Everybody's separated by less than 1/10 of a second. Right now it is Nayko leading. Josh is coming back, but so is Ratchet Panda as well, and it is going to be the touch from Nayko to put him into the pit, and that will put him from first to last. Josh gets 10 points, 0.04 of a second from him into third. He is at 99, his teammates at 98, and poor Panda at 73, and Nayko at 66. We are getting spoiled here for Ironclad.
I just want to point out that, it's no longer possible for really anyone here to get finalists. This map, it is possible for Josh to get a 119 on this map.
Yes, it is.
And I mean, like, not the best of situations, but it also means you're denying quite a few points from opponents, so it's still worth it to go for it. If Josh can, regain about 2/10 on top of Panda and Nayko in this situation. Right now, doesn't seem to be doing too well. He has to oversteer. He had to fully respawn as well. I don't think he was going to crash, but he just didn't like the line, and he certainly wasn't going to gain any positions with his current line. So, either way, Ratchet in third place. Now second, Nayko handed it over again on a silver platter, but Panda's not going to be giving anything up. That's 56.7. We're getting faster, slowly and slowly.
Yeah, slowly but surely we get close and closer to world record. I doubt we'll
no
beat it.
not right now.
No, not with Richie not present. But kind of a disastrous round there for Josh getting 3 points, so that does give his teammate a 3-point advantage as we get into this last round here of Ironclad. Before we move on to, I'm going to assume Blonde. That's the only one we haven't played yet. So 4 rounds of that, and then we'll be back onto the beginning of the rotation. Fairly certain we will be seeing a finalist, if not 2 there, and we'll see just how many, or just who rather goes to grand finals here for Gravity Break. Keep in mind, top 2 in the grand finals will qualify for the top 64 of XP Evo, except for eLconn. He's already done that because of Comic-Con Baltic, so whatever those other top 2 guys are. But everyone else fighting for Ambit points, seeing how that might play into your favor for XP Evo. But right now, Ratchet's had a great round. He's already pulled a 10th out as we head into the finish. Josh is making mistakes on the grass chicane. Nayko messes up, and he will clip, but thankfully there is enough for him to get 3rd. And Josh has found the safe finish. Hooray!
There it is.
All right, well, Ratchet's at 115, which means he has the opportunity to do the funniest thing ever.
I'm sure he would like to deny more points than just get 3rd, unless Josh is the one getting 4th, but I don't think you can guarantee that. So, especially not on this map, let's be real. You're going to be fighting tooth and nail just to deny Josh from getting 1st place, because even though the players are now compared to the earlier portions, so the blonde effect, as it's now been dubbed, is going to be less. It will still be present. Like, if you let Josh get away with it, his SDs are pristine every single time. So if you let him, he's going to just run away with this map. And that is the most literal way to describe this. His gap is going to be massive if you allow him to be the only one with a good SD.
Yeah, but I mean, you got Ratchet there as well to sort of keep him in check. And I'm not going to totally count out Panda and Nayko, but I think when we do get to the full speed section, I think that's where they are truly outclassed by both Josh and Ratchet. But the first round here of Blonde is underway. And right now for Josh and, well, pretty much everybody, it's about 0.05 of a second. We're getting into this jump drift as we do see one of the drivers, I believe that was Panda, clipping on the side. So he's kind of out of this round for the time being as Josh hits, and so does Ratchet and Nayko. Everybody's hitting. They're desperately trying to SD, but they can't because they don't have enough speed. Now it's Panda in the mix, and it is now back to being pretty much a great horse battle here. Panda leading the way from Nayko. Ratchet's in 3rd. If Ratchet wants to get that finalist, he has to get Nayko here now. Nayko might be making a little bit of a mistake. Ratchet's trying to cut it on the inside. I don't got it. Ratchet's done the funniest thing ever. 119. You gotta love it. Panda picking up 10, goes into the hundreds. Nayko with 7, he'll go to 81, and of course Josh is at 118. He can't be cursed with 119, but he can get pretty close.
I love how the only reason Panda did as well as he did that round is because he crashed so early and everyone else utterly failed to get the SD section because they crashed right before it. They didn't have the speed to get the SD. And Panda had plenty of speed. He came into that much later than everyone else. So he's just chilling. He rocketed for it. I thought it was Josh person who can do that fast, but no, it was Panda because he was the only one who survived. Everyone just decided to crash the wall.
Panda was smart. Oh my god, and he almost does it again. So now we can get everybody doing some SDs into that turnover, into the downhill. Josh just absolutely pieces out of that one. I heard Panda pulling up, but he's just not close enough. You can see him fighting with Nayko as Nayko makes a mistake, just 1 and 2. That does leave Panda on the tail of Josh. If Josh wins here, he will be 2 points off of finalists, which means he'll just have to finish the round. Thankfully, Ratchet has a somewhat similar situation, because all he has to do is make it to the finish line. He does, so he'll be on to finalists. Josh will be 2 points off of that. Panda starting to pull in a little bit. He's only about 11 points off, but we've seen how quickly things can fall apart here.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen even in the previous series with Panda and Nayko, denying each other in finalists and having a little bit of difficulty with the other two that were relegated out of the bracket entirely. It's not always a given that, you have the red number on your car first, that you're going to finish that red number and turn it green first. So we'll have to wait and see. I mean, right now, Ratchet is in the fray of things.
Nayko.
So is almost everyone else in the lobby. Josh right behind Ratchet. They both seem to get relatively similar SDs there. I don't think Josh got too much more speed, maybe like 1 or 2, but it's not going to... Oh, Ratchet. He almost touched the wall there, but take Ratchet right off the bat. Josh is going to have to find that extra time, especially because Panda and Nayko are too far behind to make a difference. Ratchet really sending it, though. He wants that Grand Finals retribution, and I think he might get it. He will. 102.7. Pretty decent time, all things considered. And he does deny Josh from denying him, I guess.
Yeah, it was the exit of that grass reactor. It was a weird line for Josh. He wasn't able to overtake, but now he has finalists. Panda's at 111, Nayko's at 88, and Josh has the chance to close it out here on Blonde. He knows, however, if Panda is to win, then it'll be him on finalists, as we do have Nayko making a huge mistake. So he's had to respawn. That leaves Panda and Josh. You can see the gap right now. It looks like a lot, and it is. It's like 3/4 or 1/3 of a second. But now onto the SDs. Look at Josh. He's just pulling up like he's standing still. Blows by Panda, hitting the NOS and just exiting like it's nothing. Panda, everything he's got now to get ahead of Josh. This grass section goes great. Josh is so close on the inside. That's just how he likes it. But onto the wood, onto the grass, onto the road. We're going to go into one final drift. Ladies and gentlemen, I think Josh has done it. He's going to the grand finals with teammate Ratchet. Panda has to settle for second. Nayko's across the line with a little flip into third. But folks, your grand final has been set. It will be Ratchet and Josh going back to where they started to settle the score. And we still have a couple more rounds to play because we got to give out some of those ambit points. And we're back to Mane, Panda, and Nayko. A final 1v1 for them.
And I believe on top of the ambit points, I believe the top 6 are getting prize money. So I believe Nayko and cash for their troubles and to make it this far. But of course, I'm sure they would have liked to make it even further. More prize money, maybe the XP Evo stuff. But you walk away with even more than what the people they knocked out of the previous round got. So we are at least in for 2 rounds here on Mane. And I believe I think we're stuck on Mane. We can't go any further, I think. No, I guess technically we could get a double finalist and go 1 round in the next map. Should I forget which one that would be?
No, if Nayko manages to win 3 rounds in a row, then he gets finalist. Panda's going to get finalist regardless. So, mathematically, we end on Mane, but we would have to get through every single round. But for the time being, Panda is going to try to deny. He knows he can make it, but as tempting as it might be to just say whatever. Oh. All right, well, first round. No, it is not. First round will go to Nayko unless Nayko somehow completely messes up. But he has to. Okay, Nayko.
It's on him.
Nayko.
He's so slow.
Oh God. But the gap right now, it's 2.5. Panda is, I don't think Panda's close enough at all, unless Nayko touches again. Which thank God he doesn't on the wood, because that's again the last place you want to touch. Oh, now he's even gonna go for the save. The BM to go for save. Nayko. All right, that's one round down. Can you do it 2 more times to deny Panda?
It's possible, but I wouldn't buy it on Panda crashing out as hard as he did off of that wet section. Once again, I mean, he would need to do it quite a few more times if you want such a for Nayko, but I don't know, man. Panda has shown he can be really dangerous on this map and all. Just as I'm saying, a perfect example and the opposite of a caster curse. Caster blessing, is that a thing? I don't know. Either way, Panda's in the lead, and he's had some really beautiful sharp. But this is the section he just utterly died on last round. Can he keep it clean? Thus far, yep, he even oversteers a little bit, loses a tiny bit of speed, but I think the safety was necessary for his nerves, as he is still just shy of half a second ahead of Nayko. Pretty safe, all things considered. Nayko actually going up on 2 wheels. You can see pushing it, trying to regain some time. He is doing just that, but I don't think he's really finding enough purchase. He's gonna need a mistake from Panda, but I don't think there's very much track remaining unless he goes for something crazy. But I don't think that's gonna be the case. He even goes for the triangle for style points. Unfortunately, it doesn't yield him much. That's gonna be Panda walking away with a little bit more ambit points and prize money in his pocket.
That was quite the final. The losers final. That was still great though. I mean, Josh and Ratchet going back to the grand finals, back to 2 opponents who they've already played against. Gotta give them credit. I think it was well deserved. I apologize for doubting Ratchet. It will never happen again, I promise. But looking at the grand finals, now that we have gotten to the end, we are just about to the end of our journey here with Gravity Break. Looking forward, do we make a prediction now? Do we think we see anything more than a triple finalist? Do we see quad finalist, or do we just have to say, well, you know, you've got the lads, as I'm going to call them. You've got eLconn, you've got Richie, you've got Josh, and you've got Ratchet. How in the world do you even call that? Is it a repeat of upper bracket final?
It might be. Honestly,
Okay.
I think if Josh can keep it a little bit more clean, I think that'll allow him to clutch up a little bit more, because he was very close to making it through. If memory serves, he was like, what, a couple points off finalist, or maybe he was.
Yeah.
I don't quite remember. It's been a while since we were that far into the bracket, but he was very close to making it through the grand final the easy way. So I think if this, short break that we're going to go on in just a moment is enough to like calm the nerves and, allow him to still stay on the ball, I think he has an opportunity to walk away with one of the top 2 spots. But we're going to have to wait and see, right? It's anyone's game at this point, I think.
Yeah, I would honestly be keeping an eye on Richie. I think I haven't seen him as much, unfortunately, in competitive play, but he made it to grand finals in one shot. He didn't have to go through losers bracket. I think he may deny Josh. I think if, obviously if for some reason eLconn doesn't perform, which I highly doubt, I think Richie has a really good chance of denying Josh and Ratchet of ultimate victory, but that is something that we'll have to wait and see. Folks, we are going to take a short break. When we come back, it is going to be grand finals, a rematch of the upper bracket final match. So get up, get yourself a snack, some water, whatever it may be. But most importantly, keep it locked. We'll be back in just a few.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for the last time here at Gravity Break. The players now are fighting for the big prizes, of course. 2 positions open for that top 64 in XP Evo in about a month. And quite a bit of prize money also up for grabs. You know, that's the side thing here. Of course, Legion had to run off and do other things. I believe he had to run off to work or something. So we got Import to fill in. How you feeling here, Import?
I am going to bring the most professional cast ever that you've never seen it before in your life. That being said, I'm going to wing this entire thing. But I'm happy to be here. I'm excited to be here. It's been great to watch Gravity Break. Great to see all the matches. Been catching up the entire day. I've watched pretty much all the matches for today's events, so it's been fun to watch. And we've had some exciting matches. We've had some matches where it's just kind of the run of the mill type of match, and it kind of ends as it's supposed to. But now we're at the grand final of this event. There are 2 top 64 slots available for XP Evo, and if you don't know about XP Evo, it is the biggest Trackmania party, the biggest Trackmania LAN. It was voted the Trackmania event of the year last year, and I'm a little bit biased, but I think it's going to be the event of the year this year. But yeah, I am excited. I hope you guys are too. If you haven't bought your tickets already, you can go ahead and buy your tickets now. If you need information, just DM me later. I'm available, and I can send you all the links and that stuff. If you're just going to DM me and ask if tickets are available, stop. That's the question I get all the time. Yes, they're available. But also to explain really quickly the Ambit, we've had a community circuit called the Ambit for pretty much the entire year. Started back in April and has gone up to this point. Gravity Break is the second to the last event. We have one more event after this next weekend. That's Glacial Mix Series. And after that, we're done with the series. So players who have played today and didn't get enough points or wasn't happy with their performance, they have one more chance to get some more Ambit points next weekend. That's the last event. And then after that, the top 4 in the leaderboard for the Ambit circuit will get top 64 slots as well. And you can find out what the leaderboard looks like on eCircuit Mania, where Gravity Break is also available to see the bracket and everything as well. Thanks to eCircuit Mania for all the awesome work that they do. And yeah, I think we're caught up now. I think we're good. Also, just a quick reminder that eLconn already does have a top 64 spot. So that means if he places first or second, that means it could either be second and third that gets the spots or first and third that gets the spots. So just keep that in mind as we go into the grand final.
I know eLconn was complaining in match chat, which you all cannot see as, well, currently it's still on us, but even in game, because Josh is in the lobby and no one else, that we need to mute chat. eLconn said, well, how come I can't get the other spot in the top 64 for my alt account? And Josh chimed in and said, yes, the alt account is named Josh1248. But no, we're going to be going the old-fashioned way, right? The eLconn has already earned it. Got to give at least 2 other people the opportunity to get into that top 64, and we're going to be starting off here on Goldilocks Zone. Again, Richie has all 5 of the world records. Nothing has changed in between the semifinals and the lower bracket finals and now and whatnot. So Richie has all the world records, but we haven't seen a world record live on broadcast yet. If there's ever going to be a time to do it, I want it to be now, personally speaking. I think that'd be great. Currently, eLconn, though, up in that lead. Richie trailing behind, but I mean, they're all within about 1/10 of each other, so nothing really to speak of quite yet. No one's differentiated themselves hard enough to really claim an early lead.
Yeah, not really able to claim too much of a lead at the moment here. Everybody's side by side for this first round, and right now we see a little bit of Richie kind of picking ahead at the moment, and eLconn as well. It's kind of side by side. It is going to get down to this finish here as we get over the last couple turns. This reactor grass up into the finish. Who is going to be able to make it? It's going to be really close here as eLconn snipes ahead. Less than 1/10 between everybody there. Ratchet being the last person with 0.07 of a second coming in at the end, but super close round overall. But eLconn's going to be the first one to take the 10 points.
Ratchet complaining in the match chat, not again, as he's honestly got a really good time, but he ends up with 3 points at the end of it all, although he might be hitting at least a little bit more than the 3 now, because eLconn gets a pretty gnarly crash to start off the map. So, despite everyone being neck and neck, Ratchet got the short end of the stick there, but maybe not so much this time. He's currently in second place, doing pretty well for himself. Josh currently in the lead. Richie looking to overtake, but gets a little bit of a funky line, has to oversteer on the grass, which of course is going to lose him quite a bit of speed. He's going to be able to make this transition cleanly enough. Yeah, sure enough. Ratchet looking to get a very tight turn around that plastic circle. Does just that, but Josh does not want to give up quite yet. He does regain.
Josh and Ratchet looking side by side here. The teammates from Shift, kind of a little of a storyline that we've had today. The two teammates from Shift, whether they're fast or not, whether their Shift tag means they're actually speed tag. We're going to find out in this grand final for once and for all. Josh looking to get this first place here with Ratchet coming in second. Good results for them. eLconn, of course, in the back, going to try to at least get his 3-point consolation that he needs, but misses. Oh, no, just kidding. There's a safety finish. See, I was telling you guys at the beginning that I'm going to be winging this, and that's because I don't know where the safety finishes are. So don't make fun of Josh because he didn't know where the safety finish was on one of the maps. I also don't know where the safety finishes are.
It's all right. I mean, you're allowed to not know. You were playing, Josh. Gave away 3 points, and Legion and I just lost our minds because of it, but it's all right because Josh currently in the lead by 4 points. Not too shabby, considering 20 points is the maximum he could have had up until this point. But as it turns out, eLconn is pretty good at the video game when he's not flying off the side of the track.
Crazy.
He is currently in the lead. Yeah, I know, right? He's pretty good. This guy should go pro, as it turns out.
Yeah, maybe he could consider playing in the World Tour, you know? I think he would actually perform pretty well there. It's just a shame, you know? The World Tour is just like that echelon much higher than he is, so, you know, unfortunately he hasn't got the skill, I don't think, enough. But maybe in the future he might be able to, you know, play in the World Tour at some point. But what thing I do know is he will be playing at XP Evo. and basically he's just trying to get money at this point for this event. Gets a first place for himself to help him along that journey. They're getting up to 23 points. Richie going to slot in at 15 points. Ratchet is now sunken to the bottom, though, at 14, but it's still relatively close. 9 points separating everybody all together here as we get into what I believe is potentially the last round on this map for for Goldilocks here, as everybody mostly, well, I say everybody, we are missing one that does seem to be eLconn yet again, not getting the greatest of start, but it's not too bad. Point 2 is definitely ability to strike back if somebody is to make some major mistakes, or maybe he has the pace enough to catch up that point 2. He is known to do crazy things such as that here, as Ratchet and Josh fighting side by side here at the front. The teammates driving together. Are they going to be able to help each other? No, because they're both ghost cars. They're driving on their own, but you know what? That little mental help of being with your teammate does kind of actually give slight advantage. But so far, driving pretty well. Ratchet is known to drive very risky in rounds, and you notice that because he always likes touching almost every single corner. And as a viewer and a fan, it is very frustrating to watch him. Josh, on the other hand, is also very fast, but sometimes can get in his own head. But side by side, we get to the end here. 7 thousandths of a second. Josh besting his teammate Ratchet. Richie and eLconn just playing spectators for this round, but still plenty of rounds to go for more points.
Well, you know, Legion and I talked briefly about it in the end of the previous match before we went to a break for this one. But Josh, if he can stay consistent, I think he has a real opportunity to make a name for himself here, right? It's kind of been one of the few things that he struggled with. Like, he has the pace, and then some. Quite frankly, prior to this morning, when Richie stole all of the world records from everyone, Josh did have like 1 or 2. So
yeah, so despite all the memes with the World Tour and everything, because eLconn and Josh are not playing World Tour anymore, they did play Stage 1, and they were considered one of the top teams for World Tour for Stage 1. Maybe not the best, but they were definitely within the top 10 for Europe. And so Josh and eLconn being former teammates as well, Josh has had a lot of potential. He's gotten way better. Coming from the full speed community, I mean, we're at the map where this is where Josh signs, and guess what? It's because there's full speed in it. So this is his map. This is where he feels comfortable. But now we're at the grand final where everybody also kind of feels comfortable with this map. Richie still being the world record holder for this map, if I remember correctly. So I mean, everybody here has a little bit of stake in the game, but I mean, for Josh, this is kind of a home map, home turf for him in that regard. But yeah, going back to his season, everything so far and his career, he's gotten much better. He's a very young player, I believe 17, 18 right now of years of age. So has so much potential to grow, and he just keeps on getting better and better every comp that he plays. He'll be at XP Evo as well, so it'll be really exciting to see him at the top echelon. As I talk about him, though, he does make a crash right there. But Ratchet is going to lead us here to the latter half of the map.
Yeah, well, Ratchet has had some really gnarly rounds in a good way off of that reactor grass section, and the Strift, I mean, that's basically his home turf. He's known as a disgustingly talented tech player, and, well, he's tenths ahead of everyone else. 102.5 is about a tenth away from world record. Okay, yeah, so, just showing off a little bit there. That was a really good time, all things considered, and it makes you wonder, because Josh was also up there right before the crash, and well, actually, he's still up there tied for first. And Ratchet's not too far behind, so if he can get a couple of good rounds, maybe he can start contesting. Richie, a little ways off, but, it's so early in the series that if they start dropping first places left and right, then basically anyone can overtake and get that first place in the overall standings.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not going to make the same mistake Legion did. He made a mistake, which you never do in casting, and is say anything negative about the French players or saying they're the odd men out. Legion made the comment, and it proved him wrong completely. You never want to count out any French player because they have this absurd ability to come back from devastating gaps and be able to come back and win or even clutch out a win. We saw that happen with Richie in the winners final. Also watching Ratchet there in this round making a mistake, but we saw Richie clutching it out in the winners final there. Not expected to really even make it to the top two potentially there, but let's focus on this round right now. Richie is going to lead and ahead. eLconn almost getting up close to Richie there at the end as well, but it's going to be Richie, eLconn 1-2. Josh and Ratchet are going to have to settle for third and fourth respectively, and we're still in a very tight race, 7 points separating first through fourth.
Yeah, personally, I love to see it. Honestly, I wasn't expecting everyone to be that tight. I was expecting someone, I had no idea who, but someone to be the straggler. It feels like that's been the theme of this tournament. But I guess if there were ever a time to have the potential of, a triple, quadruple finalist, I would hope that it would be the grand finals. It's kind of boring when it's just a complete stomp. But working out so well so far. eLconn going for a very inside approach, and you could see he lost a lot of speed compared to the other three there, but he's still in the fray, although Josh is a little bit further behind. I don't know what just happened to Ratchet. I swapped over to Josh's POV just as he must have clipped or something, but I don't know if he's going to be able to fully catch back up to eLconn and Richie, who are pretty good at this reactor crash section, dare I say.
Yeah, they're
going for a very wide approach.
Yeah, they're definitely solid on this latter half, much more akin to kind of somewhat World Tour typical mixed comp style on the latter half of this map here. So what you saw with Josh and Ratchet, they both touched before they got to the full speed section. So all I can hear is their team leader Roxy just screaming in the background, complaining about each touch that they have, because that is what he has been doing all day. Second they make a touch, it's like, oh no, it's doomed. The match is doomed. I can hear Roxy now talking about it. So, but I mean, again, still very close matches. Ratchet is now starting to fall ever so slightly behind, so hopefully he might be able in this last round on Blonde to make some points back up here. Again, kind of small mistakes that you don't want to be making in the grand final, but with everything being so close, you do have that ability to make those small mistakes and not be too terribly punished for it, but you don't want them to become a habit, and that is what we are starting to slightly see here. Josh always sitting a little bit further back because he doesn't have the pace at the beginning, but again, we come to the full speed section, already overtaking Richie, now contesting eLconn at the front here. Richie is being contested by Ratchet in the back half of it, starting to form form somewhat of a conga line, but still very close. Everybody 0.2 within each other here as we get to the latter half wood section here. Everybody manages to maintain their position so far. eLconn, Josh in the front two. Josh is catching up, but not enough, as eLconn is going to be able to maintain his first place position, and Ratchet is going to be able to overtake Richie and get that third place. But eLconn now getting another solid 10 points for himself, having created himself now a 12-point lead in this map alone.
Getting close to that halfway margin. Again, we're going to 140 points now. That's the grand final, so the players have to play it out for at least a couple more rounds compared to everything that's happened thus far. So eLconn still has quite a ways to get before he gets that red number on the back of his car, but realistically, at the very least, Josh, and I'd say really everyone, is within striking distance, right? All you need is one good map or one bad map to gain and lose plenty of positions here. And I don't necessarily think you can say that eLconn's going to have a bad map, because he's just kind of good at everything and really good at the weird stuff.
Yeah.
There is some weird stuff, especially on this map. Mesosphere is up next, as you'll see once we're finished with the warm-up just about now. So I don't expect eLconn to lose too much purchase here in terms of the overall points, but there is the possibility. I mean, Richie and Ratchet especially have some pretty gnarly finishes on this map.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't count really anybody out here. I would say the biggest factor is who is going to be able to keep the mental acuity for this entire match. You have eLconn, Josh, who can be easily disturbed by constant mistakes. If he starts making mistakes like he has now, we already start seeing the trend. Sorry to call it out, but it is what it is. It happens. He knows it happens too. So it can be a kind of mental game for some of these younger players like Josh. Meanwhile, Ratchet is an individual who is just, he drives balls to the wall. Sorry for the phrase, but it is what it is. He drives always to the most maximum limit that he can, which also causes a lot of mistakes as well, thus making him very inconsistent. We get to the end of this round, though, and it is going to be eLconn taking first place. Richie and Ratchet super close, 12 thousandths of a second separating each other, and Josh, unfortunately, at the end. But yeah, like I said, it is going to be a kind of a mental factor here, but eLconn slowly and continuing to increase his lead, now 20 points ahead of the rest of the field.
He's not playing for the XP Evo position, obviously. He already has.
He's playing for the money.
He really wants that paycheck. He's like, it's worth it. I need it. But yeah, he is starting to differentiate himself. I mean, second place is now 20 points separated from him. Richie's doing good, but eLconn's just starting to take off, and I've seen that happen a few times here and there. I've casted a few tournaments. I've been lucky enough to see eLconn perform at this level before, and if you let him get away early, it just feels almost impossible to catch him, because he's not gonna slow down. He's never gonna touch the brake whatsoever. It's almost like a mini version of Carl Jr. in a way, where it's like if you let him get ahead of you, you're never getting it back.
Yeah,
well, I say that, he crashes.
Uncharacteristic mistake, but no, you're very true. If eLconn has control of the match, he is going to just run away with it, and you really have to drive your best. The best way to fight with eLconn is literally to just get him to not finish first, which sounds very bizarre in the grand scheme of things, but like I said, it is really a mind game. Richie, same as well. Richie can be a very consistent driver, but he can also become inconsistent if he feels like he doesn't have the upper hand, if he doesn't feel like his pace is there. So if he's not getting that consistency in terms of times and points, then he also starts to show cracks and start crashing more. So realistically here, it's going to be who can hold on the longest. So far, eLconn seems to be the one doing that the best so far. But again, we have a three-way race for second place here, as it's only 55s and 57 for those bottom three players. And right now, eLconn's kind of on his own island, and I feel like he should be pretty happy with that. I think he is happy with that. Like you said, probably going to run away with it here. But let's focus on the last bit of this round here. Richie and Josh side by side. Josh goes for the wider setup to get the more exit speed. Is going to overtake right at the end to get that 10 points. And eLconn makes a little mistake at the end, so that's going to be Ratchet getting third. But it doesn't really matter for eLconn. He has such a nice point padding. But for Josh, that's really important for him, able to get a little bit ahead of Richie.
Notably, Ratchet's starting to fall a little bit behind. It's not unrecoverable by any margin, but he does need to get a couple of good rounds in there. And it feels like he's been kind of playing second or third fiddle in this case to Richie and Josh, who've been stealing a lot of these points in the absence of eLconn, who last 2 rounds at the very least has not been having the best of endings. He keeps clipping the wood section, which I get it, trust me. Like, keyboard on wood is not fun. It's not easy to play, especially at high speeds. You sneeze and you just go like 180 degrees in the opposite direction of where you want it to go. But so far, I mean, he's keeping it clean, and actually everyone's keeping it quite clean. Richie's in 4th place, but I don't really know if you could consider that last place, as they're basically all right on top of each other in one big pack. No one really seems to get the best out of it. Someone clipped. Was that eLconn again?
That was eLconn again. Ratchet overtaking here at the end, but it's going to be Josh taking first place there. And so the Shift teammates getting the front 2 spots, just basically just trading spots with Richie back and forth. Josh, that is important for him. He is going to create a little bit of gap, even catch up just a little bit to eLconn now. eLconn, that 20-point lead, all of a sudden gone. just on one map. So it's like we said, it is kind of crazy. You can have a really good map, and you see that each player has almost their own map that they're really good at and that they can excel at. And so we see this kind of flip-flop of points here. That's why we say it's like it's at the very beginning, even at the first half, almost none of it really matters, because it's about consistency and being able to at least get those 2nd and 3rd place finishes. The first place finishes help, but if you're getting 4th a ton as well, if you're getting 1st and 4ths a lot, then you kind of balance out either way. So it really is about just being consistent overall. And if even in eLconn's position, also be known to be somewhat inconsistent in regards, we saw last map, that's where it comes to bite him, and now he has to contend with Josh potentially fighting for 1st place.
Well, you mentioned Josh fighting for 1st place, but this is the map that he's admitted he doesn't really like all that much. So, I mean, watch him. It obviously goes deeper than just like not knowing where the safe finish was, because he really struggled last series, and it felt like he might have been, out of the tournament entirely because of this map. He fell pretty far behind, and right now he's in 1st place, but we'll have to see how he does. This map is a lot of tech, a lot of avoiding airtime, and while Josh is very good at maintaining speed, I feel like Ratchet and Richie and eLconn are generally just getting a little bit more out of a lot of these drifts. Richie in particular, you can see he's already catching up. Ratchet, I think, is a little bit further behind. eLconn just kind of waiting for a mistake to happen to steal some free points away, currently in 3rd, and Richie fighting really hard for that 1st place. He gets a little bit of a bump there in the grass, but I don't think that airtime matters all that much. And Josh is trying to fight it, but he can't. 12 milliseconds with a 56.7 from Richie. That is about 2/10 away from world record. His own world record, by the way.
Yeah. Imagine if Josh had just gotten a little less penalty grass there in that mid section of the map, he would have been able to probably get that win and maybe even a better time. So yeah, just like those little things, especially on this map. This map is all about the smallest amount of movements. Despite it being wide open, the line is pretty precise in terms of how you can maximize your speed here. So it is kind of important as we see Richie making a pretty big mistake there. So that's an opportunity for Ratchet to at least not finish 4th here. For a 2nd round. Josh and eLconn are going to be fighting here at the front, also former teammates, like we said a little bit earlier. So Josh is going to try to pressure eLconn here. Takes a little bit of a tighter line, but we're going to see this trade back here with eLconn trying to maximize his speed. Gets a little bit of a slowdown though, so allows Josh to somewhat stay ahead for just a brief moment here. Josh goes a little bit wider. It almost touches that barrier and allows eLconn to overtake at the end, and eLconn is going to take that back and say thank you for the small gift there. I will gladly take the 10 points again. And now you're going to see a 5-point separation, or 4-point. I can't do math. It's the typical. It's a stereotypical we're Americans can't math kind of thing. It's fine, but 4-point difference for now.
Yeah, and you can see a little bit of a gap starting to form between Josh and Richie as well, with a total of 8 in that regard. Ratchet's still pulling up the rear, unfortunately for him, although he's doing pretty good this round. He can certainly claw his way back, but he might need some 1st places to mitigate that point loss in the earlier sections. eLconn, however, clipping what seems to be one of the earlier turns, and actually Josh falling back too. So they're both gonna crash. It's really a two-man race now between the two R's in the lobby, Ratchet and Richie. Currently, the Frenchman up in the lead. Ratchet trying to avoid losing the gear, and you can see it gives him just a little bit more speed, trying to set up for a more straight approach out of the plastic. It's paying dividends so far, but Richie's going for a more inside approach. He's going to have the speed, not quite. It's going to be just about 400s even, separating the two of them, and that's much needed 10 points if you're Ratchet.
In German, we would say, der hat fast verkackt. He almost crapped the bed, basically, that round at the end with the uphill. So, yeah, Ratchet trying to give everybody a heart attack, his teammates a heart attack as he makes that round a little bit closer than it should have been at the end. But that's kind of what it is. Like I said, with this map, it's wide open. But it's very much a precise line. It depends on how you take each of these elements, because they're all sloped, loose surface. So exit speed is everything here, and you can say that about pretty much any map or any element, but here it is really about pace and maintaining that and not getting too much of a slowdown while turning. And so it is a little bit random when you see who is going to get the finish correctly or who's going to get first, because it is just those small micro movements. This round, however, eLconn and Richie are looking to be that 1-2. Ratchet trying to pressure Richie there for second. Josh being a little bit of a spectator this round, as he just doesn't have the momentum to finish at the end. Ratchet going to try to overtake, not going to be able to happen though, as Richie's going to maintain that second place position.
Oh my god.
And that is a 56.608, ladies and gentlemen. That is a very fast time from eLconn.
300ths away from Richie's world record. That might even be a PB for eLconn. I'm not really sure. I don't have the full leaderboard. I just have a notepad with the world records on it. But yeah, that's disgusting time from eLconn, all things considered. And as you can see, that puts him 107 points, 95 for Josh and Richie respectively, and Ratchet at 87. Not terrible, all things considered. 20 points between first and fourth really isn't that bad. But of course, you want to try and deny eLconn from getting that finalist, which technically he could get by the end of this map. You know, he gets a last place and then 3 first places. That's exactly 140. He gets finalists. Of course, we're going over to Monet, which is very precision based and honestly can be anyone's game. A lot of these rounds, these players push so hard because they have to. At this level, they're not going to be making the simple mistakes unless they're forced to by their opponents just from raw pace. So we're kind of going from one pace map to the next in regards to this map pack. And I mean, it's really up to everyone now to start and play spoiler to eLconn to make sure that he doesn't just run away with it.
Yeah. And so I have a little quick trivia for you, Acronator. Do you know what Monet means?
Isn't it like moon in Norwegian or Danish or something like that?
It is moon in Danish. So, you know, keeping with the theme of Gravity Break 9 Moons, they named this nap Måne, which is Danish for moon. So there you go. Good job. You did it. All right. Awesome.
Google
Trivia's done. You passed the test. You are now a full Danish speaker. Congratulations. But let's see how this latter half of this map is going here. Ratchet and Josh fighting side by side here at the front. Richie trying to get his nose in and say something otherwise, as he has more exit speed than the two shift players, is going to be able to get that first place, with the shift players tying at the same time with 300ths of a second behind Richie there. But that is going to be the points. I believe that was for Ratchet there. Yeah, Ratchet is going to get that second place points because he had the faster previous checkpoints.
Starting to close in on that finalist spot for eLconn in particular, but even Richie is up into the 3 digits. Josh is just barely out of range, and Ratchet, again, is within striking distance. That first place really helped him there. And, well, everyone's pretty close. Again, no one's really going to be making huge mistakes on this map unless their opponents really force it out of them with just raw pace. eLconn going a lot wider. That should pay off with more exit speed here, so it kind of equalizes with the different lines. Of course, wood at high speed is not exactly the easiest thing to control. eLconn actually falls a little bit further behind. Might have had to release here and there in the wood section, but Richie, Ratchet, and Josh, say that 5 times fast, is all right next to each other. Looks like Ratchet might be taking another 10-pointer, but it's going to be coming down to the line. I don't think anyone can overtake it. A 58.2. We're getting within about a tenth of the world record here.
You might be able to finally get that world record. I was going to say at the beginning, like, if you want to see a world record happen in live rounds, that would be eLconn. But I mean, anybody is really capable of doing it. Ratchet and Josh have done it before in matches in previous competitions, so it is possible by anybody here. But Ratchet pushing it there to almost the world record. Maybe we have only a couple rounds left, but maybe we might be able to see one just eke out here.
Possibly. Oh, jeez, eLconn got dangerously close to the right side of the track there, and it would be the first time he's made that mistake. He's really pushing these wood sections on every map that has the wood, whether it be wet wood or normal. But you can see the different lines coming into play once again. Richie actually going a bit wider alongside eLconn, Ratchet and Josh going further inside, and actually seems to be working better for them. In this case, Ratchet again in the lead. Seems to really like this map, and it does make sense. It seems like he's the kind of player that would like it. Certainly enjoying his run with it so far, as he's got 20 points out of the 20 he could get, but Josh is looking to spoil that right now as he is in first place by just a few hundredths. 58.23, not the fastest time, but still disgustingly fast if we're being honest.
Yeah, and I mean, this has been a perfect map for both Josh and Ratchet here, as they've gotten so many points. There's one more round left to go here on Monet, and we will see if maybe eLconn loses his first place here. Ratchet is not going to be the one likely, though, to take that first place away, as he makes the first mistake out of everybody here. Richie and eLconn maybe feeling the alarm bells starting to sound off here, as they are now sitting in front ahead of Josh. Josh, this would be a perfect opportunity for him to overtake into first place, but it is going to be a tough round to say the least here, as he is now 0.2 behind the leaders here. eLconn and Richie just within 1.1 of each other, and they are not holding up. Richie's going to take a little bit tighter line on the wood. eLconn's going to try to fight back, but he is going to fall slightly behind and allow Josh to potentially enter the picture here for second place, but Josh falls a little bit further back, takes a tighter line on the wood. I don't think he's going to be able to carry enough speed here at the end. Richie's going to fall behind, allowing eLconn to overtake at the front, and eLconn is going to get in with the 58.388, and he's gladly going to take those points and make himself a 127, 13 points away from finalist mode.
Also 13 points ahead of last place, which right now is Ratchet, so everyone is within striking distance, and we darn well might see quadruple finalists the way this is playing out. What map are we going to next? We're back to Goldilocks Zone of all things. I know the stream can't see it, but every single round for like the past 2-3 maps now, the chat in game has just been GR, because that's how close it's been. It's just flooding the chat. And I mean, it has been good round. You know, you might have one person making a mistake, but generally it's 2 or 3 people that are right next to each other playing really, really good rounds, all things considered. Now, the first time we went to Goldilocks Zone, in the very beginning of this series, it felt like eLconn was starting to run away with it a little bit, and you had a few others who were, falling further behind. It was like eLconn than everyone else. I'm sure he'd love to repeat that success, though I'm not really sure if he'll actually be able to, as everyone is certainly more warmed up now.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Well, maybe not everybody. Ratchet pulling Ratchet that he loves to do. I know Roxy is just screaming at his computer right now. And I would be too if I wasn't on the stream right now. But yeah, unfortunately, Ratchet is going to make a early mistake. That just takes him out of the round completely. He is going to have to settle for fourth unless some major mistake happens, but that is kind of unlikely at this point here. Josh, however, is still fighting for that front spot. eLconn 7 points ahead of Josh, and Richie just a point behind of Josh. Josh is going to make the next mistake here, slot into third. Now it's going to be eLconn versus Richie here towards the end. eLconn has a solid lead, and typically he doesn't let go of these unless something happens. Richie going to try to sneak on the inside, but the dirt is going to equalize that position still and that momentum gain. Richie trying to take it as tight as he can, but not able to get any inroads on eLconn. eLconn's going to be able to maintain his first place, get that first place, and put him 3 points away from finalist mode and winning potentially this tournament.
Yeah, and again, he wouldn't be getting anything in terms of XP Evo because he already has that part, but he'd be getting prize money out of it, and he certainly wants that. I believe it's like $400 and some change. I think first place takes home like 40%, and its prize pool's about 1,000. I think it's
Correct.
like
Yep.
1,000 something.
487 cents to be exact.
Yep, gotta get those extra quarters, take it to the arcade and do whatever. But let's see if Ratchet can actually survive the beginning this time. Well, he did. Granted, he's in 4th place, but it's better than being 5 seconds behind in 4th place. Now he's only about a 10th. Oh, Josh, what was that?
Yeah, Josh unfortunately making a mistake here. Ratchet on the other hand, not making a mistake at the beginning unlike previous round here. Now Richie taking a look and turn at the front here in first place. Richie and eLconn side by side. Somewhat as eLconn takes a little bit more of a longer turn to try to guarantee himself more. I cannot talk today. Guarantee himself more for some exit speed there, which allowed himself to equalize up with Richie there. And now they are side by side. Ratchet kind of playing a little bit of spectator, trying to sneak his way in, but is being held off pace wise. And as we get to the end here, there really isn't any more room or anything to do. It is just driving to the finish. Richie and eLconn side by side, and eLconn crashes the finish.
No.
That means that he is going to go all the way down to 4th, and Richie is going to get a solid 10 points. Ratchet's going to get 2nd there, and this shakes up the points just a little bit. eLconn luckily is still going to get finalists, but Richie is only a round away from getting finalists, and Josh and Ratchet, the alarm bells got to be sounding now because they have a little bit more to climb for.
You gotta wonder if the mistakes are going to be more prevalent now, especially from Josh and Ratchet, who have been making them more frequently than the other two in the lobby, because now there's the potential to lose out on what you're fighting for, right? Of course, the odds are with these players that are not eLconn that they can get a position into the top 64 of XP Evo, but it's not guaranteed. You still got to fight your way tooth and nail to it. Right now, Josh is in the lead, but someone took a super inside line. I think that was Ratchet, but the reactor salvages some of his speed. eLconn crashes, so now there's a little bit less pressure. Even if some of these other players crash out, they're likely not to give it up to eLconn. It'd be crazy if it did. To be quite honest, it's not the craziest thing we've ever seen eLconn do, but right now, Josh has a pretty sizable lead coming into this. Ratchet has a lot more speed, though. I'm not sure if he'll have enough track remaining to actually make it, Josh. Stop going so high in the finish. You're giving me a heart attack. You're probably giving your coach a heart attack, too.
I mean, Josh is doing Josh things, but hey, as long as he gets the points, that's all that matters. Richie now going to get finalist as well, and this match is still open. eLconn is capable of making mistakes when that red number flashes up, so it is not over until he gets first place. And Ratchet, I know for a fact, he likes to do a little bit of clutchy things, but also when it comes to clutchy things, he also likes to make mistakes. So we could either get Ratchet, who's on fire and manages to clutch it up, or we get Ratchet, who's just gonna fake that he's gonna clutch it and then just disappoint everybody. So we'll see which Ratchet shows up for this match here. Hopefully it's the former, as he already falls back to the back here, making a slight mistake there on his line, touching one of the barriers. And now eLconn sitting in first place. This is an opportunity for him. Richie also trying to catch up to eLconn here, maybe able to snipe a position for himself. Josh is the only hope for Shift to potentially delay this one more round and potentially even create a almost four finalist mode here at the end. But right now, eLconn, Richie, they're going to be the ones fighting for first place. Josh doesn't have enough speed. eLconn, does he make it this time? Yes, he does. It is going to be eLconn, your champion for Gravity Break with that $400. And congratulations to eLconn.
I keep in mind, the 2 spots for XP Evo are still on the board, and we're getting off of Goldilocks zone, so it might be a complete refresh for these players, right? New map, new player. Just take a breather. You got like 30 seconds of warm-up to figure it out, because we're going to Blonde next, and Josh is finalist, but so is Richie, and Ratchet is 134, so he just needs 2nd place to get a triple finalist, which personally I think would be awesome. Maybe not so much the players. I'm sure Ratchet would love that, but he's going to have to play that spoiler. And again, as Import said, it depends on which Ratchet shows up.
Yeah, I mean, Ratchet, all he has to do is finish first now or second to be able to get into finalist mode, but he would prefer first so that he could actually get second place for himself here. Josh and Ratchet are going to be the ones to look out for. Richie, of course, you can't rule him out completely. This is the map. He technically has the fastest time, but for this type of map, just because of how dynamic it is with its pace change, that you can't really rely on fastest times, and already Josh being the one to make the first mistake here. 0.2 behind out of the gate, 0.3 after this next CP here. And Richie is going to be looking to get himself into second place. Ratchet, however, could equalize potentially at the FS section here. Richie and Ratchet staying on the same line for this tech drift here. Let's see, is Ratchet going to be able to risk super hard for this exit speed? Yes, he is. Richie has to release just a little bit here before the full speed section. Ratchet is going to overtake here. Is he going to be able to maintain that speed drift and be able to stay ahead of Richie here into this tech section? Yes, for now, that seems to be the case. Ratchet now into the grass penalty section. Josh catching up just a little bit in pace from that full speed section, but is it probably going to be enough as he makes a mistake? It is now for sure between Ratchet and Richie here as they have equalized themselves. Ratchet is taking a little bit of an inside line. Richie trying to maximize his pace, but it's not going to be enough, and Ratchet is going to be able to deny that second place, and Ratchet gets into finalist mode himself.
Triple finalists, folks. This is what we all deserve out of this grand finals, and I'm sure it's not doing anything for the players' hearts, but it's doing quite a lot for our entertainment. This is the last round of no, it's not, because we're playing for third place.
Second to last round.
Second to last round. Like, wait, no, that doesn't sound right. Yeah, no, this is the second to last round. Someone is going home with second place, quite a lot of prize money, and a guarantee to the top 64 of XP Evo, which, all things considered, is a pretty good haul for a day's work, or 2 days' work, I suppose you could say, not counting the hunting time. Currently, it is Richie and Josh up in the lead, but Ratchet's not out of it entirely. Josh, I don't know what happened there, but he lost quite a lot of speed. Ratchet, however, is postured to overtake Richie. He does have a little bit more speed, and you can see he's gaining, but Richie is so good on these tech sections. He does maintain the lead for now. Although Ratchet is really trying to push it. He wants that second place so bad, and it looks like he might have it. Richie has to go a little bit wider. Ratchet gets a clean entry into the wood section. Josh is almost not out of the fight yet, but he is just a little ways out. He does crash into further behind, and Ratchet will take your second place, 102.5. That's about a tenth away from Richie's own world record to claim the second place ahead of Richie.
Der hat es geschafft. Der hat es geschafft. Ratchet has done it. Good job, my guy. He was able to finally get it in. I know Roxy's still going to give him crap about it after everything is said and done here. But Ratchet at least able to get into second place, does guarantee himself top 64 slots at XP Evo. So congratulations to him. And now we will decide who gets that other spot in the third place and fourth place prizing for Gravity Break, and that will be the end of our tournament. So final round of the event, who is going to take third place is the question. Will it be Josh? Will it be Richie? Josh risking it super close to that wall and is going to get the sexiest of speed drifts there, as he is going to now be super far ahead of Richie, at least 0.3. Oh, no, actually pretty close, actually. Still a 0.2, getting a little ahead of myself here.
Richie's
Richie
risking.
Richie is really risking in that grass section. He's just so good at able to make up time for that loss in the full speed section. But Josh maintaining his lead, should not have any issues going forward, and he is going to be able to make it. Richie makes a mistake at the end, but it doesn't matter, and Josh is going to be our third place winner. Richie's going to finish in fourth, and Josh is also guaranteed himself top 64, so congratulations to our top three and Richie as well for competing. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was Gravity Break.
What a tournament. That was a really good showing from everyone, all things considered. GG's, of course, to eLconn for taking home the grand prize of first place, but also to all the players we've seen thus far. Too many to name, of course, but they all honestly played really well. Everyone that we saw on the main broadcast, I don't think anyone was just phoning it in, which, sometimes it happens. But even in the early rounds, they're playing their hearts out. It's really nice to see.
Yeah, and I mean... again, congratulations to everybody who has played today and competed. We definitely saw the effort that was put into playing these maps and everything. Want to give huge shout outs to Nine Moons. Everybody give a clap, easy clap for Nine Moons. They did a fantastic job for this event, providing a new opportunity for players to complete in Trackmania. And Nick Hazard, of course, that main guy at Nine Moons, doing a fantastic job in organizing this event. So thank you to him. Thank you to Randomize as well. He was not here today. He was spending his birthday with his wife, but he
His
has
wife's
been.
birthday.
Or his wife's birthday. English is, once you learn a second language, English just goes out the window. But but Randomize, the tournament admin, doing a fantastic job as well. Also, everybody else, the big guy creating the awesomeness in the stream, keeping everybody alive, is Larai, of course. Larai, our local Frenchie, who has been memeing with me behind the scenes, talking about dirt servers and stuff. We're on the dirt server, but and then, of course, Acronator, to you, killing it on the stream for 2 days. I mean, it's been great to watch you cast, and it's been great to see you, and you did a great job. So
thank you very much. It's been fun. But folks, remember, if you want to keep in touch with all the stuff that Nine Moons is doing, because they do more than just Trackmania events. In fact, they're just recently getting into the Trackmania stuff. Feel free to join the Discord to stay up to date with all their future stuff. I believe they do quite a bit with the FGC, as well as Rocket League and maybe a few other esports that I'm missing. But I think those are the big ones. Rocket League and the FGC are their bread and butter, from what I understand. And see, I'm hearing whispers in my ear that we might be getting eLconn for an interview.
Ooh,
possibly, maybe.
Interviewing? No. Okay.
No. Okay, no. That's all right. He's very shy.
eLconn.
I understand. I interviewed him once for HD Weekly League, and he was like, "I'm sorry, I'm bad at English." I'm like, "You're fine. It's okay."
He's not bad at English. That was an excuse. No. I've spoken to eLconn so many times. Don't let him. Anytime eLconn's like, "I'm bad at English," don't let him. Just bully him.
He's shy. It's fine. No, he's too timid. I feel bad. Anyways, GG's to everyone, especially eLconn. You don't have to be shy. It's all right. But I think that's all we've got for today. So thank you to everyone in front of and behind the camera, everyone for playing, all of you for watching at home. I think we're going to be rating someone on Twitch, so stay tuned if you want to be joining in on the rating action. But I think that's all we've got for today. Import, you have any closing thoughts?
I do. XP Evo is happening September 26th to 27th. It's the biggest Trackmania party on the planet, so you better be there. I'm definitely going to be there, so if you have bought your tickets already, make sure to buy your tickets. Thank you for Nine Moons for allowing us to shill nonstop about the events, but massive appreciation for it. But make sure you come, because it's going to be fun. So, and if you're not able to make it, tune on stream. There will be plenty of content.
All right. Well, I think that's all we've got for now, ladies and gentlemen. Again, stick around for the raid if you so desire. That's all we've got for today for this Gravity Break event. It's been fun, and we hope to see you all next time.